Embrace your Godfather.
Look me in the eye.
Oh, Jackie, not here. But hello, everyone. Welcome to this audio fan commentary on The Godfather Part 2, which is the second film in the Godfather trilogy, the critically acclaimed film. This one in particular is an Academy Award-winning movie. Was released in 1974 as the sequel to the very successful Godfather, and obviously there's a third movie that comes later on. This is considered as one of the greatest movies of all time, and I definitely agree with that. And I know my friend Jack here definitely holds this film in high regard. I mean, last I heard, it is your favorite movie of all time, isn't it?
No, Raging Bull is, but this is probably my second favorite. Yeah.
Oh, well, I thought Godfather 2 was, but well, fair enough. But it's up there anyway. So like before, this is just a fan commentary. We're just fans watching and commenting on this. It is going to be a long one. This movie is one of the longest films ever made. It's nearly 3.5 hours long. So do bear with us. But hopefully it shouldn't feel like a chore because the film's pacing should make up for the length. Hopefully the length doesn't reflect the pacing, which I'm sure it won't because it's The Godfather 2. But like the previous commentaries, we're just doing this for fun. Can't show the image for legal reasons. If you want to follow with us, place your DVD and Blu-ray into the player and press play when we press play. That's probably the best we can do. And this is not, of course, for any financial benefit. We're just fans commenting on this with our thoughts. Expect it to be very positive. So if you're not a fan of this film, then I would advise you to probably not watch.
Buzz off.
Yeah, either that or you probably won't be interested anyway. And a quick shout out to our 2 viewers out there, one of which who is commenting in the chat, Sam Harrison. Hello, Sam. Hope you're doing all right in the lockdown. So Jack, is there anything you want to say before we begin?
Yeah. No, just put your timestamp to 0, mute your audio, and press play. And in response to Sam Harrison's, like he said, the film looks good, but he has no interest in gangster films. Well, actually, I recommend this film to people who are not fan of gangster films because it's not really it is a gangster film, but it's more of a drama than it is, shoot 'em up action film. But
yeah. I mean, I would also say see the first one and then see this.
Yeah.
See them in order.
Yeah.
If you like films with drama, then you'll definitely like this because I just thought on The Godfather there'll be gangster movies, which I mean they are, but I appreciated the emotional drama of all 3 movies. And yes, we will be talking about the third film as well. I think we did a commentary on the first one, but I can't remember, to be quite honest.
We did, a couple of years ago, yeah.
Oh wow! So yeah, this has been long overdue, but anyway, enough gabble. let's begin. Otherwise, we'll be here till Christmas.
Yeah, I thought that only came around once a year.
Oh god! Don't start that again. Do you want to do the countdown, or shall I do it?
I'll do it if that's all right.
Yeah, go ahead.
3, 2, 1, play.
Okay. Wow, this film is 3 hours, 22 minutes long. This must have been one of the longest films to watch in the cinema. But
yeah, well, it did have an intermission during it, but I mean, I think there's films now that there are much longer films now. Like Ben-Hur, I think is longer. That's like bloody 4 hours, and Cleopatra's like 4 hours and stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think a film theatrically you can't release a film longer than 3 hours or 3.5 hours because it's such a long time to sit in the cinema. I mean, the Lord of the Rings movies, the theatrical cuts are 3 hours, but the extended cuts are like 4 hours. Yeah, I mean, I don't think films should really be 4 hours unless they have to.
Yeah. I think 90 minutes is a good length for a film, but sometimes you need them to be longer if you've got an epic story like this film. But yeah, I mean, I love this opening here where this basically leads on from the end of the first one where Michael's become the Godfather now, and Yeah, I love that shot there, the chair, and then it says Mario Puzo's The Godfather Part 2. Yeah.
Yeah, he
But
really does. He really does become his father, doesn't he?
yeah. I mean, Sam was asking why this is my favorite trilogy. Well, I think it's my favorite trilogy because I love the drama of it, the scope of it. You know, it's like if it was just like mafia guys shooting each other, then I wouldn't be that interested in it. But you know, it's about drama, it's about family, and I think that's what sort of gravitated me towards it. Like I remember watching the first one on TV and then watching the second one and just being blown away. Like the first one I thought was great, but this one sort of blew me away. And it's not because it's mafia guys, you know, it's because of the drama of it. It's because of the family of it. Like, you know, the emotion, the characters, you know, how Michael sort of starts off as this good guy and then he descends into darkness and becomes this monster. And there's a lot of great drama in it. And I think Francis Ford Coppola's direction is amazing. Like the shots, the way it's shot, the drama, the characters, the music, you know. Yeah.
And what's clever about this one is that they're telling two narratives really, and I think that's kind of symbolic in a way because obviously
Yeah.
Michael becomes his father in a way in this film, and we're seeing how his father became the Godfather. So it's almost like two parallel journeys with leading to the same goal, leading to both of them becoming the Godfather, and obviously we the very much the theme of this film is like, oh, power corrupts, and what happens if you're the Godfather and you have all this power. And I think we just see Michael, he falls from grace, and I think that's the clever thing about this trilogy is we see a complete story arc across all three films. I think you needed this to be a trilogy. I think there's too much story for one film, personally.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, I mean this is quite dramatic here. Yeah,
Hmm.
where it turns out I think this is because this is showing Don Vito as a kid. This is his mother, and that's her other son, which is really sad. But yeah, I mean, I think what Francis Ford Coppola did, which was great as well, is that the first Godfather film like really showed you Sicily and everything, and yeah,
Hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of sepia tone in these films, but I think that works, I guess, because of where it's set, obviously. But it adds kind of another dimension to the film. It adds a certain vibrance in obviously certain scenes which are quite dark and dramatic. I think it adds its own sort of color palette, and I think the Godfather trilogy each have a very, like, all those films, all these three of these films have a very distinctive look to them. And I actually think this is a case where sepia kind of the color grading actually really works for what it is.
yeah. No, I love the way it's shot as well. Like, I mean, this was shot nearly 50 years ago. I mean, 4 years time, so this film will be 50 years old, and a couple of years time will be the 50th anniversary of the first film, and they still hold up really well. Like, they look great the way they're shot and everything. I love the colors. You know, it visually, it's a masterpiece as well as in the terms of the story. Um, like this stuff is interesting. Like the Godfather here, like he wants to get rid of Vito because he says, "Oh, you know, when he becomes a man, he'll try and kill me in
Mm.
revenge for his brother." You know, yeah,
Don Cicio.
yeah,
And that's the thing. Like she says, oh, he's dumb-witted. Like you can't imagine him. This kid is going to grow up to be Marlon Brando in the first film. You know, you
yeah,
don't quite imagine it, but obviously this is what happens. When they become the Godfather. Wow, shit.
yeah.
Run, Vito. Oh my god. Wow.
Yeah. I think she was saying like he was done with it as well, just to sort of protect him
Yes.
from the Godfather. Like I think she probably knows he's smart, but she doesn't want him like she wants to say the Godfather, oh, he's stupid, you know, like don't pay any attention to him, and he's like, oh well, you know, I want him dead because you know he'll come and get revenge for his brother being killed, but
Mm.
and now his mother's dead, so literally he's an orphan. But yeah,
Wow. I mean, she really took a bullet for him. I mean, that's being a parent right there. She literally put her life on the line so he could escape and run away. And yeah, I'm sure that trauma lives with him for for the rest of his life. And I think that's an interesting thing. Like whoever has the sort of title of the Godfather has had some kind of trauma, and I think turns the trauma into power and anger. And I think that's what's very interesting about the story. And I think this film is entirely driven by its story. But I mean, it's a technical marvel as well, like you said. I really like this opening. It's a really interesting backstory. It's a great way to hook you in.
Yeah. I think what's great about these films as well is that, like you were saying, like, like people being affected, by the Godfather and stuff like that, and the mafia. And I saw an interview recently with ex-mafia guy who managed to get out of the mafia way of life, and he said he always like warns people away from joining the mafia and joining criminal gangs. He says I think he said that anybody whose family was part of that life, part of the life of the mob, that all their lives were sort of devastated in some way or another. Because I mean, if you think about it, you're a criminal, you're part of a criminal organization that kills people, and
Yeah.
what's going to happen? What's going to happen to you if you're a criminal? You're either going to end up in jail for the rest of your life, you're going to get killed by somebody else, like another gang member, or something will happen to your family. So, I mean, that's what I like about these films is that they focus, like, you have the criminal aspect of it, but also focuses mainly on the family and the drama, like, the repercussions of Michael being the Godfather and all this, and yeah, and his
I mean,
consequence of his actions. But yeah,
and can I take this moment to also say the score is masterful here.
yeah,
It's a very
I think it's neat.
emotive score as well. Like this theme, obviously, which plays later on with Michael and Fredo. But I like that moment there when he comes into America and starts his new life. I mean, he's a 9-year-old boy. I mean, wow, his world must have turned upside down at this moment.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like, yeah, no, I think the soundtrack's great by Nino Rota and Carmine Coppola. Really great soundtrack, one of my favorite soundtracks, and yeah, I mean, yeah, the way the film is shot as well, like that whole stuff in the boat, I think is great. You really get an epic scale here, and like I think this one is more epic than the first one. I mean, the first one was epic, but this is more epic because it shows you the two different timelines, and it goes into more detail in terms of like the costumes and everything, and the period detail of like the early 1900s and the 1950s and 60s, like when the storyline of Michael's
Hmm.
taking place. And yeah, I mean, look at the costumes here, mate, and the way it's shot, mate.
Oh,
It's just really great. But yeah,
wow. I mean, and you get to see in this scene different people from different countries and different cultures. So there's definitely a more worldly feel with this one. I think the scope of this is a bit bigger than the first one. The first one was very much isolated within America and that sort of that part of America. But so that's why I like this one because it goes somewhere else with it, which is good.
yeah. No, I mean, yeah, no, this is great, and yeah, I mean, it's interesting, yeah, to see how his sort of whole life changes. Like, he's living in Sicily with his mother. They're quite poor, honest people, and then his life's affected, and he travels to America, and he grows up, and then he comes back to Sicily, and you know, then he becomes a Godfather.
Yeah, and he
And
turns
yeah,
into Marlon Brando.
yeah, yeah, and it's really interesting arc for his character. Um, yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, because I think in the first film, Don Vito was kind of an enigma as such. We didn't know too much about his past. We just knew where he was at that point. He was in that position of power. He was the Godfather, and it was more centered around, I think, the family as well than just him. But he was definitely at the center of the mafia. But it's nice to see. It's nice to see his backstory, and I'm glad they saved it for the second one. And they chose to devote a long time in the film for this. You know, it wasn't just like a quick montage. They spent a long time on it. That's probably why the film is so long, because they thought, well, the story needed this, and they could run it alongside the present day story, which I think works very well. It's very clever.
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting as well is he's called, like, their family is originally called Andolini. Like, he says Vito Andolini, and the guy reading his tag, and you know, he's from the town Corleone in Sicily, and the guy misreads his name. Instead of calling him Vito Andolini, he registers his name as Vito Corleone, and that's how they get the sort of surname of Corleone, like Don Corleone and all that. But yeah,
I mean, that's funny because I think Corleone actually, it sounds better than his other name, personally.
yeah. I mean, it's kind of interesting how all three Godfather films sort of begin with an opening celebration. Like in the first one, there was a wedding. Here, there's like this sort of ceremony going on. Then in the third one, I think Michael, I mean, he got the award from the Pope, and there's sort of like a party going on there. So it's kind of interesting. They all sort of start off with these sort of celebrations. But yeah.
Yeah, I think that is interesting how he'll start with a celebration, but I think that's good. You know, they start out with the light relief, and then gradually things get darker and more intense as it goes on. I think to kind of hit the audience so quickly with that would be sometimes a bit counterproductive. I mean, obviously, we've just seen Don Vito's mum get killed, but you know that's a different storyline. You know, in this storyline, it's good to start out with something positive. But we know it's going to get progressively darker and more you know, fucked up. Pardon the language, but yeah.
Yeah, that's true. It's interesting how, you know, her husband was killed in the first one, and here she's sort of sleeping around with men. You know, she doesn't really care. Like, it's interesting how Connie's character develops as well. Like in the first one, you know, she's being abused and all this, and then in the second one, you know, she doesn't care, and in the third one, she sort of becomes more involved with family business and cares more about Michael and stuff like that. But yeah,
I think the only one who hasn't really differed too much is Fredo, isn't he? He's kind of his character's kind of the same, isn't it, as the first one?
Yeah, I mean, I think he, in the first one, he sort of, well, I think in this one he's more corrupted by power, and that's why, you know, later on he tries to like collude to help Michael get killed, but I mean, you sort of understand where he's coming from later on, because everybody thinks he's a idiot and a moron and all that, and he just, you know, he wants respect. He doesn't want to be treated as a moron and to be stepped over and all that. But
yeah, Fredo kind of, so he tries to sort of stand up for himself a bit more in this one.
Yeah. I mean, the pacing for this one, I think, is incredible. Like, for 3.5 hours, it really zips by. Like, when I first watched it, didn't feel like 3.5 hours. I wasn't sitting there going, "Oh, this is boring." You know, for a 3.5 hour film, it, you know, keeps your attention, and you know, there's no like fluff or filler in there. But yeah,
exactly, and that's testament to the filmmaking that even at 3.5 hours, they can keep it moving. I mean, I think if it was any longer, it might have been overstretching it. But I was amazed at how quickly it went. I was worried it was going to be too long, but no, it actually. Sometimes films benefit from being long, and
yeah,
I do think the Godfather films deserve to be long. I mean, the first one is dead on 3 hours, and it actually it works. It never felt too long.
Yeah. And even the third one, like, that's the shortest. I think that's like 2 hours 40 or something like that. But
yeah.
I Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on what your story is. You know, you have to like some films you only need like 90 minutes or 2 hours to tell a story, and that's fine. But there's some films that they've got so much story and there's so much scope and stuff going on. You need the extra, you know, hour or whatever it is, or 2 hours. But yeah,
Hmm. Yes, and I think just there we also saw them getting a check. So clearly it's a ceremony of like peace or something. Is it? It's like a Nobel Peace ceremony or something. I'm not sure. I can't remember why Michael receives the check, but clearly he's done something good and contributed to public service or something. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah.
yeah. I think he's paying off this politician, and you know, yeah, and
Oh, right. Thank you.
and yeah, and also I think he's also celebrating his son's communion. But yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Anthony, but, yeah,
Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Yeah, I've not seen this film for a while.
and nearly have I actually. I haven't seen this in quite a while, but yeah,
I mean, I do agree. I think Al Pacino was robbed by the Academy. He deserved the Best Actor Oscar for the film, and I know Robert De Niro. I think it was Robert De Niro won the Oscar for this film. So at least the film did get some recognition from the Academy, but it definitely deserved a lot more.
yeah. I mean, it got six Oscars, which I'm happy about. But I think it probably should have won a seventh Oscar for Al Pacino, and kind of annoys me that Titanic wins 11 Oscars, but Godfather 2 doesn't, because I think Godfather 2 is a much better film than Titanic. But
Yeah, but then again, a film is not defined by the amount of awards it's won. But I do, I do think The Godfather 2 could have won a couple more. But 6 is nothing to be sniffed at. That's still a great achievement. So good for them.
Yeah, yeah, I'm happy with that. You know, I think Francis Ford Coppola won.
Sorry, he won Best Director, did he?
Yeah, what Best Director and I think Best Picture for this one. Yeah.
Oh, he won Best Picture. Oh, good. I mean, well, rightly so.
I despise you, masquerade. It's the best honest way you pose yourself. Yourself and your whole fucking place.
Wow, he's calling him dishonorable.
Yeah.
We're both part of the same hypocrisy. But never think it applies to my family. Wow. All right.
That's the thing. When you get sucked into this sort of life, it's very hard to get out of it.
Yeah. Thing is, you can't walk away once you've joined the mafia. You can't just say, I'm retiring. You know, once you're in it for life. But,
yeah. There's always going to be targets on your back. There's always going to be people that have axes to grind, so to speak. There's never any finished business, so to speak.
Yeah.
Until you die. That's basically it. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
Not even take a gaming license, which I would appreciate if you would put up personally.
Yeah. Michael's giving him karma. Yeah. I just love the lighting of this, like the way, like the contrast of like the shadows and the light stuff. Like the room is pretty darkly lit, and then you sort of got the light outside in the corridor. Like sort of, I guess it's like, you know, trying to say that there's sort of evil in there, and then, you know, the light, you know, in the corridor, like, you know, K and all that, like sort of innocent. But
I think you're right, and as well, like lighting is often used to convey obviously like compositional things, like you know, like you say, like an evil tone or something. It's used as a code or convention to kind of illustrate the story, like what the audience should be thinking and feeling. And it's I think this film gets it right, like you say, and it does it for the right scenes. And like this scene outside is all very bright and vibrant, whereas inside it's usually lit quite darkly, isn't it? And I think the first one did it well as well with the first scene in that film.
Yeah. I love this guy. This is a good actor. Well, Frank Pentangeli. Oh,
I gotta check out my boy.
his character, yeah.
What's with the photo on? Kid comes up to me in a white jacket, gives me a Ritz cracker and a chopped liver. He says, "Can of peas." I said, "The can of peas my ass. That's a Ritz cracker and chopped liver." Hey, like, "Did I want to God? Bring out the
Nice to have a lighter character in the story.
Oh, seeing you
Yeah.
in New York.
He wants to see Michael, but like, Michael's got so many people he has to talk to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we've got 3 hours to go. We've been watching it for 20 minutes.
Yeah, it hasn't felt like 20 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm here to see your brother Mike about. But what's weird? I mean, what do I gotta do? Do I have to get a letter of introduction to get a sit?
He's talking to Fredo, isn't he?
Yeah, he is, yeah.
I'm waiting in a lobby.
Yeah, that guy there plays Johnny Ola. He later played Uncle Junior in The Sopranos, but
Oh.
yeah.
In a way, I guess if you watch the first film, it's sort of kind of heartbreaking to see Michael's descent. Really, that's kind of what this film is. It's his descent, and obviously the past storyline is his dad's ascent to, being the Godfather. And yeah, again, it's almost I think the Godfather I would describe also as a tragedy. It's a lot. It's a story with a lot of tragedy. And yeah, that's why I like it, because it's so complex, and it's hard to really pinpoint Michael as a villain, because really he's just he's a good man who's fallen from grace, and he just doesn't know what he's doing. He's lost control. He's gone mad with power, and and then obviously the third one is about his redemption, which I think is also very interesting. Which is what makes him three-dimensional, is that we see okay, he is actually a good man. He lost his way severely, and obviously the end of this film really is the breaking point. I think.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that's the sad thing about him. Like in the first one, he says to Kay, he's like, "Oh, that's my family, Kay. That's not me." And then of course it is him. He turns into that, and like he didn't want to be involved with his family business in the first one. He didn't want anything to do with that. He wanted to, go straight, not become, a sort of mobster or anything like that. And, and then in the first one, of course, his dad gets shot, and he feels like he needs to defend him. And I think after that scene, the first one where he shoots the guy in the diner, McCluskey, I think after he shoots the cop McCluskey and all that, and I think that's where he sort of descends into darkness, because he's killed these guys, and then he's gone off to Sicily, and then by the end of the first one he's become the Godfather. In this one you see him really descend. You see how cruel he becomes, and how vindictive he becomes. He feels like because he's the Godfather, he needs to kill off all his enemies and kill off any threat to him, and he becomes ruthless. I mean, Marlon Brando's Godfather, like, he was a bad guy, but he wasn't ruthless. He wasn't, completely merciless. I think Michael in this one, he just takes it too far. But
yeah, and I think sometimes that's the kind of monster driving him, and I guess maybe that's where he felt his father went wrong. It's like his father was too, well, not too soft, but not as ruthless. And I guess maybe it's Michael as a character. He's just got more of a temper, and he gets easily fired up. And if people mistreat him, he doesn't take anyone's shit. Whereas his dad was probably a bit more reasonable. Was like, well, if you do this for me, I'll do this for you, and you have to give, and then I'll give. In that sense, but Michael's like, well, if you fail me, that's it. Bam, you're dead.
Yeah, exactly. I think with Michael, it's like,
The ink on your divorce dry yet. You're getting married.
Oh yeah, that's his sister, isn't it, Connie?
You see her on weekends.
You know, your oldest boy, Victor, was picked up in Reno for some petty theft you don't even know about.
Oh, God.
Michael,
You fly around the world with men who don't care for you and use you like a whore.
you're not my
And
father.
what do you come to me for?
Because I need money.
Oh, yeah. He's being relied upon by her. That's it. She's kind of falling apart since her divorce and, well, since her husband died, and she can't support her kids. It seems like she's also fallen from grace as well. So I think the whole family's kind of been torn apart after the events of the first film. Really.
Yeah.
I want to be rich.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think the thing is, he's quite controlling as well. He's like, oh yeah, just get rid of this guy. He doesn't love you. Just get rid of him. And he probably doesn't love her, but at the same time, you know, he's really taking control of other people's lives. He killed, you know, her husband in the first one, and then, you know, Carlo, and then, you know, he's trying to say, oh, you know, get rid of this guy, you know, like, I'll look after you. You're my sister. I'll look after you and all this stuff, you know. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think then everyone can see that. I think she probably can see more than most people how different Michael really is. So he was I wouldn't say he was sweet as such, but he was certainly much more innocent and vulnerable in the first one until obviously the end when he finally took over. But yeah. And that's the thing. Maybe he is very controlling, like you say. He says, "Oh, I'm doing this to help you and to protect you," but he is almost like driving wedges between people, isn't he?
Yeah. He's like, oh, if you marry this man, you'll disappoint me, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, as if he's all high and mighty, you know, like, you know, because I'm the Godfather, you know, you have to do as I say, and then you won't get hurt, you know, quote unquote.
Yeah. I mean, she even says, you're not my father. And, you know, he isn't, you know, and he acts as though he is, you know, like telling her what she should do for her own life and stuff. Yeah.
And I think she's actually older than him, isn't she? Connie's older than Michael, isn't she?
But, yeah, I think she might be, yeah.
Oh, yeah, and I forgot that Fredo was married, actually.
Yeah. I mean, what's interesting about this one is you could tell how cold Michael is. Like, he doesn't really smile in this one. You know, like in the first one he smiled. Here he just looks very miserable and gruesome. It's interesting, but yeah.
Yes, he does. He's very stoic and he's very cold, and I think part of that is also he's kind of messed up from all the trauma that's happened in his life up to this point. But I think, yeah, it is the power. Like he thinks he probably like has to maintain a not pretends as such, but he needs to put on a facade for people so that they do kind of fear him. You know, I think he wants to maintain that kind of reputation that his father had. So.
You couldn't beg your mom.
Michael says that if you can't take care of this, I have to. I think you better.
Oh, God. And his marriage is falling apart, so is he going to kill his wife? Oh, God.
I can't control him, Mikey. You're my brother, Fredo. You don't have to apologize to me.
Oh. Yeah, I don't think he's gonna kill his
Wife.
yeah, I don't think Fredo would do that, but he's a bit of a wimp.
Yeah, no, I mean, like
compared to Michael.
it looks like Michael might have her killed, or he might find a way of controlling her a bit more than Fredo could.
And you're drinking
Yeah.
champagne cocktail. And you're passing judgment on how I love my family.
Then he starts talking to him in Sicilian.
Is he just a friend of Michael's family or something?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he knew the Godfather, Marlon Brando, when he's working with Michael, and you know, he's annoyed that Michael is working with, well, the bad guy in this, well, the other bad guy, Hyman Roth.
Yeah.
Taking hostages. Mike, they spit right in my face. All because they're backed up by that Jew in my hand.
I know. That's why I don't want to touch it. You don't want to touch it. I want you to be fair with it.
You want me to be fair with it? How can you be fair to animals? Con, for Christ's sakes. Listen.
Ugh.
They recruit people.
Yeah.
They do violence.
He's like, fuck this shit.
Yeah.
Everything with them fools. Fools! And I'll provide me a job. Go! And I leave the gambling for last. I want to earn my family without you on my back. And I want those Lozano brothers dead.
No.
No.
Oh.
Now, I have business that's important with Hyman Roth. I don't want it disturbed.
And you give your loyalty to a Jew before you unblood.
You know my father did business with Hyman Roth. He respected him.
Your father did business with Hyman Roth. Your father respected Hyman Roth. But your father never trusted Hyman Roth. My Sicilian messenger boy, Johnny Lola.
Oh dear, there's quite a bit of tension here.
Here's on your stand up. On your belly out.
I'm not sure where Jack's gone, but hopefully he'll be back in a minute.
There's not going to be no trouble for me. I'm going on. Teach. Abort.
Running too late now. I'll go back to New York.
You could have just asked me, Jack.
No, man, I have too much wine.
Are you there, Jack?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
It's fine. You could have just asked me, man. I would have turned it down. It's fine.
Sorry, it's just I don't want us getting copyright struck.
Yeah, it's fine. I've turned it down now anyway. It's just when the dialogue comes in, it's quite quiet.
Yeah. No, it's all right.
I think Michael does still genuinely love Kay, though. I still think he does genuinely love his wife, but yeah, she she doesn't like him as things progress.
Oh shit.
I'm trying.
Is he though? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's interesting how he does try to go more legitimate over the trilogy. Like the second one, he's moved into, well, at the end of the first one, he's sort of moved into gambling and stuff, which is legal in like Vegas and all that, and that's why he's out in Nevada and all that. But and then the third one, he's trying to go even more legitimate. Like, you know, he's trying to wash away the sins by going to the Catholic Church, and you know and that actually happened in real life. Mobsters were given money so their sins would be like washed away by the church, and you know, given a blank slate. But yeah,
Yeah.
oh, this is a nice scene.
Oh. Yeah, he's got a son, isn't he? He's got yeah, he's got a little boy, isn't he?
Yeah, and a girl.
Oh, he's got two kids. Oh, right.
Yeah, Anthony and Mary. And Mary you'll see more of in the third one, but yeah.
Yes. Oh, God, how could I forget? Yeah, Mary. Oh, yeah, that's it. Yeah, Mary becomes a major character in part 3. Oh, fuck.
Fucking hell.
Whoa.
This is a really dramatic scene.
It's really... Wow, that was intense. That came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
That wasn't the guy he was just talking to, was it? The guy who was saying, "Oh, about your dad and Hyman Roth." I forget the character's name, but the old guy he was just
Frank
talking.
Pentangeli.
Frank, yeah.
No, no, it wasn't. But I think Michael thinks that it's Frank initially, because like Frank was sort of disrespected by Michael. He's like, "Oh, your father." You said, "Oh, your father, respected Hyman Roth, but he never trusted him, all this." And he said, "Oh, he's a Jew, I'm Sicilian. You trust a Jew before a Sicilian and all that." And,
Yeah. God. Wow, the shots look amazing.
yeah.
Whoever did the lighting
like
and camera work is honestly amazing.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's almost like a series of paintings put on film, like the way they've lit the shots and everything.
You're absolutely
Yeah.
right, and that was something that my tutor in college used to say to me. Like, every shot should feel like you can paint it. It needs to look, and that's what every film should aspire to be. Like, it's like a moving painting, and I think that's a great analogy to use. I mean, look how scared his wife is. I mean, wow, she wants him to get out of this business.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if your business is going to put your wife, in danger, and your life in danger, and your children's lives in danger, of course you wouldn't want to be associated with that. But yeah, it's kind of interesting because I think Michael really becomes sort of the villain in this one. In the first one, towards the end, he became the villain. And then this one, he's the villain. And the third one, he's trying to rectify, like, for what he did, during the second film. And yeah.
I mean, this might sound strange, but I mean, yes, he is probably the villain. He's, well, most certainly a villain, but I certainly think, I actually kind of sympathize with him on some level, because it's kind of tragic to see how far he's fallen. I suppose it almost becomes a little bit pathetic at the end of the film when you think about it, that it's reduced him to the lengths of trying to get rid of his own family, and that's probably the most shocking thing. And yeah, so I sympathize with him on that level, in the sense that if he hadn't have been misled into this, then his life would have been very different. But yeah, obviously he does very cruel things, and he's horrible to a lot of people. But yeah, it's very intriguing.
Yeah. I guess you could say Michael Corleone and Darth Vader are kind of similar. Like, they start off as good guys, and then they sort of fall from grace, and then by the end of both trilogies, they're sort of redeemed, or they try to redeem themselves anyway. Although it ends up worse, I think, for Michael than Darth Vader, because Darth Vader, even though he dies, he didn't lose his son or anything. Like, Michael lost his daughter in the third one, but yeah.
And then he bears the pain of that for the rest of his life, which is very sad.
Yeah. I like all the scenes with Robert Duvall here as Tom Hagen. I mean, they wanted him back for the third one, but I think he wanted a bigger paycheck, because Al Pacino was like paid much more money to do the third one than the check that he was going to get for the third one. So I think he said, "Oh, I'm not going to come back." He's like, "Oh, maybe 2 or 3 times, Al Pacino, if he got 2 or 3 times more than what I got, that would be okay. It would be acceptable, but not like 5 times or whatever." So I think he said, "No, I'm not coming back to the third one," which is a shame. I think it would have been good. I think the third one would have been even better if he was in it, but at the same time, I still think the third one's really good, but yeah.
Yeah, it is a shame when actors refuse to come back because of money, which I think is just stupid. I mean, they get paid. I mean, think about all the regular people that have regular jobs. They don't get paid nearly as much as actors do. So that's why I find it really annoying when actors complain about pay, because it makes me think they're just very ungrateful.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure Robert Duvall is a nice guy, and I'm sure he's a very good actor, but yeah, whatever. But I wonder what they're doing here with Fredo's wife.
Yeah, well, she's been fooling around with other guys, and I think Fredo's getting sick of her because he can't, he can't hold her in line, Yeah.
Yeah, he's a very weak man, isn't he, Fredo? He's not the most confident person, and I think he struggles
Yeah.
to confront her, doesn't he? So when it says, Michael, can you just get rid of her, or deal with her in some way?
Yeah, I kind of feel bad for Fredo because he was always sort of out of all the family members, he was treated the worst because everybody thought he was stupid. He couldn't become the Godfather because he wasn't that smart. And I think it was right. I think Michael was the perfect choice to become the Godfather because I think Sonny was too hot-headed. He was too angry, and that's what got him killed in the first one. And even Don Vito said he was a terrible Don, and I think Fredo couldn't become. He couldn't become the Godfather because he just wasn't strong enough. I think Michael's he's got the coolest head out of all of them, and he thinks a lot more than Sonny and Fredo out of the three brothers. And I think Fredo felt bad because he sort of stepped over and people didn't treat him right and called him stupid and all that. And he sort of wanted people to notice him a bit more and respect him a bit more. But yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You make some great points, and obviously Connie was never going to do that because she's the sister, so the role befalls the man. And I think you're right about Sonny as well. Yeah, because Sonny he did have it for a very brief time, didn't he? When Vito after he'd been shot, wasn't he? Then Sonny sort of took over, but he didn't do it very well, did he? He'd sort of made very rash decisions, and then he got himself killed, didn't he? So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Sonny took over, and because Sonny's such a hothead and things piss him off very easily, it was very easy to get him into that trap where he was shot at the ticket booth. Because Carlo tricked him by saying that he beat up his sister or whatever, and Sonny reacts with his fists, not really like with his head, but
yeah.
But I love the scene with his son here. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. This is a great scene. It's a very powerful moment.
Yeah. I think that's a great transition there, because there's the light in the background there, and then it transitions to the light in the background with Robert De Niro there as Vito. That's like one of the best transitions I've seen in a movie. But
wow, yeah, I think you're right actually. And the way that the crossfades don't work with every film, but for this film, they seem to really work. And we've jumped quite a number of years actually from Vito. So he's now in his 20s or something, or in his 30s.
Yeah, I think he's in his 20s. It was like 1909 or something. So yeah, 20s or 30s. But yeah, he's a young man. Yeah.
44 minutes. Oh, it's moved.
Yeah. But I love all this stuff of Italian culture here in America, like in the early 1900s. It's a sort of, it's kind of a good social document as well, like showing you how people would have lived like back then and the clothes they had and stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, also wanted to mention Robert De Niro is amazing in this film, and I can totally see why he won the Academy Award.
Yeah. I think this film really launched his career after he won the Oscar, and then he won the Oscar again for Raging Bull. And I think he's great here in The Godfather 2, but I think personally Raging Bull is his best performance. And he's great in this film. And the fact that I think what's great about him here is the fact that he has to play most of his part, and he had to learn Italian to do most of his scenes, where he's talking to the other characters. But yeah,
Yeah, exactly. I think he did an excellent job, and obviously he would go on to do films such as I think in the next film he did, wasn't it Taxi Driver? That was what he did after this, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah, 76.
That
Yeah,
was
and this was 74.
76, wasn't it? This was 74. Yeah, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now Robert De Niro is a terrific actor. He's always been a great actor. I know recently some of the films he's done have been a bit stupid, but I think he's got to a point now where he's old and he's just kind of doing what he can until he retires. Yeah, so he's doing shitty comedy movies like Dirty Grandpa, which I've not seen, but I've seen like a clip of it and it looks awful. So, oh dear.
Yeah. No, it is garbage. Like, you know, like when I saw the poster for that when it first came out, like a few years ago, and like all that, like I just thought to myself, you know, really, you know, the guy who appeared in The Godfather 2 and Raging Bull, like two of the greatest films ever made, and now he appears in Dirty fucking Grandpa, and I've seen that film. It's awful. I mean, one thing I will say, like De Niro, I think since the mid-90s, really sort of consistently made pretty bad films. I mean, I did like Meet the Parents, and you know, I did like some of his comedy movies, like Meet the Parents and Meet the Fockers and
Yeah.
Analyze This and Analyze That and stuff like that. But I mean, they're nothing groundbreaking. I mean, they're good films, but they're not like
Yeah.
classics. He isn't really.
But it's nice to
hasn't
see him
really
like do some comedy. You know, shows his range because no one thought
Yeah.
he could do comedy. He was always considered to be a serious actor. So, yeah, I like Meet the Parents and Meet the Fockers. I mean, not the third one isn't really that good, but he's pretty good in them. Like I say, but and then he did Shark Tale and Stardust and a couple of other films, but nothing as groundbreaking as some of his earlier work. But he's had a great run.
Yeah.
Certainly had a great run.
I mean, thankfully, recently, last year, he did The Irishman with Martin Scorsese. It was the first film he's done with Martin Scorsese in like nearly 25 years, and Joe Pesci was in that, and Al Pacino, and that was a great film. Like, I think, you know, it would have been great if he retired with The Irishman, or like he's doing another film with Martin Scorsese, and I think that might be his last film with Scorsese. So I think it'd be great after that if he just retired, but I don't think he will. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Robert De Niro he's in pretty good shape for his age, so I'll give him credit where it's due. He's certainly got some life left in him, but there will probably come a point when he'll have to sort of slow down a bit and do a bit less. I mean, it's not like he's poor or anything. He's got enough money, so he could live out the rest of his life and be fine. But I think he certainly enjoys doing what he loves, so good on him. Good on him. But this is quite a dramatic scene.
Yeah. Well, this guy owes the Don money, and yeah, he's willing to cut his daughter up. Well, if he doesn't get his money, fuck. But yeah, I kind of like the way The Simpsons parodied Don Fanucci, Don Homer. Like,
Yeah.
he's like Don Homer.
When he takes the donut and starts eating it.
Yeah. He's in like the same white outfit as Don Fanucci, but yeah. Well,
I mean, we've watched it for nearly 50 minutes. So quite a bit has happened, actually, and we've still got a long way to go. But wow, this is pretty great.
Yeah, no, I think the attention to detail here is great. I mean, the first one, I love the attention to detail there, but I think this one, like, it's just amazing. Like the sets, like they've recreated like early, like New York City in the early 1900s, like, you know, the Italian parts of New York City here, and yeah, just amazing. But yeah,
Yeah, and I like the look of this as well, and like we see the market stall and everything. It's like you said, there's great attention to detail and also a great rousing score as well.
yeah. It's kind of interesting how he's very poor. Like he doesn't have, you know, he's just. I mean, I think, you know, I mean, it's interesting to see his sort of journey because, you know, he's a poor man trying to provide for his family, and you know, he tries to be an honest guy, and you know, he can't really feed his family or look after them that well, and then, you know, he kills the Godfather, and he decides, fuck it, I'll become the Godfather, and I think he becomes the Godfather to look after his family, like, you know. I think even Marlon Brando, as the Godfather says in the first one, no, I did this for my family. I don't apologize for the way, for what I've done in my life. But yeah.
Exactly, I think, and that it proves that there is a genuine person in there. He does the wrong things for the right reasons, and I think Michael has tried to adopt the same philosophy, but very clearly Michael has I think has done it 10 times worse than his dad. But
yeah, I think he's tried to adopt the same philosophy, but he just went too far with it. He's done the wrong things for the right reasons, and sometimes he's done wrong things for the wrong reasons. Just go too far, and but
he develops a taste for it.
Yeah, it's interesting how like the guy gives him the guns there to look after, but yeah. That's one thing I'll say about Don Fanucci, and what I like about this film is they're not afraid to show like who the mafia are. Like they're scum. They're just leeches who take money off hardworking people, and and Don Fanucci, he's just a hateful character. Like, and you're kind of happy when Vito kills him.
Yeah, exactly.
Oof. It's kind of sad he has to like sack Vito, Robert De Niro's character. Yeah.
Oh yeah, so he just works in a bakery then.
Yeah, well, the Don says he wants his nephew to work here, so he can't pay 2-3 guys, so he has to get rid of Vito. It's just kind of sad, but yeah.
Yeah. And he's, he needs the money as well. Damn.
Yeah.
Why can't he just say no to the nephew?
Well, he can't. I mean, the Don said he works here, and if he doesn't allow him to work here, the Don's just going to beat the shit out of him.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So he's threatening him, blackmailing him to do it. So.
Yeah. That's why he has to let go of Vito, but yeah.
Well, he took it well, at least.
Yeah. Well, no, I like what he said to him. He's like, "Oh, you've been nice to me. You've been kind to me. I realize, why you have to let me go." But yeah.
Mm. Oh, that's lovely. He's giving him some food.
Mm.
But he doesn't take it. But that's nice that he thinks that highly of him, and he knows his situation, so he'd offer some help, even though he has to get rid of him. So,
yeah. Yeah, and I think he didn't accept the food because out of honor, he didn't. He's just like, "Oh, please, you're being too kind to me." But yeah, this is kind of sad here. Where, I mean, it's kind of a nice thing, but at the same time, it's kind of sad. That's all he can give her, like a pear, Yeah. That's how poor they are, but yeah.
Yeah, and how does he tell her that he's been let go from his job?
Yeah. Oh. So I mean, I think Marlon Brando was great in the first one, but I think Robert De Niro, like, you really sympathize more with Don Vito in the first one because of Robert De Niro as Vito Corleone here, like how you see him sort of come from these very humble beginnings. But
yeah, exactly. And obviously it makes you kind of actually probably sympathize with him a bit more in the first one, like, because you've now seen how much he's had to go through to get to where he is, and yeah, it's a real, everybody has a sort of bad start in life at one point, and he's had a bit of a hard life. He's always kind of been on his own, so Yeah, I guess he's going to be looking for work now.
Yeah. And yeah, this is that guy there in the cafe. That's a young Clemenza. Like Clemenza, he's the big fat guy in the first one who decides to leave the family at the end when Don Vito retires and Michael becomes a new Godfather. But yeah.
Oh, yes. Well, we have watched this for nearly an hour, which is crazy.
Yeah, it hasn't felt like it.
Only 2 hours, 20 minutes left.
Yeah.
Why would he leave the key if he's out? Like, what do they expect? You know?
I think like sometimes people leave a key under the mat or underneath their plant pot. So I think he was thinking, oh, hopefully he'll do that. But yeah.
Yeah, I suppose he had like a spare key, but yeah, I would have thought people had been more cautious in those days.
Yeah. And Clemenza was the one who gave him the guns to look after.
They seem to form quite a close relationship.
Yeah, they sort of become best friends, and then at the end of the first one, he decides to leave because Marlon Brando's Vito's no longer the Godfather, and he doesn't really think Michael will do as good a job as him. But yeah,
yeah, and then he's killed very tragically, isn't he? In the first one.
Oh, Clemenza.
Yeah, he's killed. Isn't he?
No. He lives. I know you're talking about. There's another like big fat guy who gets killed earlier on, I think. But yeah, it's not Clemenza. He lives.
Oh, okay. Yeah, please forgive me. It's been a while since I've watched these films, so I might not remember.
No, that's fine. Yeah. I mean, your review of the second one was like 5 years ago or something like that. 3 years ago, I don't know, but yeah. Yeah,
it has been a long time since I've reviewed them.
Get out the gun. Yeah, I mean, that looks like a painting there.
Yeah, I'd like to hang that on my wall.
Yeah, it'd be a good painting. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know who does the lighting. I think it might be... I'm not sure, but yeah, the person who does the lighting in this did a really good job.
Yeah, this film is without question a masterpiece, and it is definitely the best of the 3 films in the trilogy for me.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, a lot of people would say the first one's the best, but I mean, I think the first one's great, but I think I prefer the second one because it's more epic in scope. I love the 2 storylines that are happening and the way they sort of change in between them, and they do a great job of that. And yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just a fucking great film.
Yeah, definitely. I love the way that there's a lot of bright light coming from the windows behind.
Yeah, that's her son, Sonny Santino. Yeah.
Yeah, Sonny's the oldest, isn't he? And then isn't it then Connie, then Michael, then Fredo?
Yeah, I think so. Actually, I think maybe Connie might be the youngest. I don't know, but yeah, I know Michael's the youngest of the 3 brothers. But yeah.
Actually, yeah, you might be right. Connie might be the youngest. Now we're back in the present day with Michael.
Yeah, we're in the 50s. Yeah. Interesting.
Wow.
In the third one, he becomes diabetic. But yeah.
Oh wow! Look at this set. Well, it's not really a set. This location. Wow, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I love this track here.
Definitely adds to the tension as well. You know that there's something that's going to happen soon.
Yeah. Yeah. Just great attention to detail. You'd actually think they shot this in the 50s, you know, even though this is like early 70s, well, mid 70s, so 74, like, yeah.
But looking at the film on Blu-ray, I mean, bloody hell, the transfer is amazing.
Yeah, it looks amazing on Blu-ray, yeah. And there's definitely like one film to watch on Blu-ray. It's probably this, and yeah, and Lord of the Rings as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it makes me wonder, like, how comes there was such a big gap between the second and third? Like, did they not initially want to do the third, or were the studio kind of pressing them to do the third?
Well, I think Francis Ford Coppola. I think I think the early 80s, he made a film called One from the Heart, which he spent a lot of money on, and it was a huge box office bomb. So he had to do loads of films in the 80s to sort of make the money back. So I think he decided, oh, let's do another Godfather film. But he didn't want to call it Godfather 3. He wanted to call it The Death of Michael Corleone and sort of have it be an epilogue to the first two films. And then the studio said, oh, just call it Godfather 3. So they called it that. And yeah, and then they made the third one. But I mean, originally, I think the third one, they wanted like 6 months to write the script, and the studio said, "Oh, you got like 6 weeks to write the script." But yeah,
Oh God.
yeah. So
Yeah, I'm quite
and they had to
surprised
get out.
they didn't make a third one straight afterwards. But I guess the second one was so good they didn't want to. They didn't think they could make another one as good, I suppose.
Yeah, and also I think it was kind of right to wait until 1990 because you know you want the actors to visibly aged. You know, because I mean the story is sort of towards the end of Michael's life, is sort of middle aged, like late 50s, early 60s. So you want to advance the storyline a bit instead of having it set like another couple of years after the second one. But yeah.
Yeah, I think it works. I mean, obviously we'll get to the third one a bit more next time, but yeah.
Yeah, Hyman Roth, yeah.
I can't believe it. Every shot is so meticulous in this film. It must have taken ages to film.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, what's interesting about the second one is it had a much smoother production than the first one, because the first one, Francis Ford Coppola said that was a nightmare to film because the studio wanted to fire him because they thought, you know, they didn't have any faith in the film in the first one, so they wanted to fire him, and you know, he wanted Al Pacino, and the studio didn't want Al Pacino in the role, and you know, I mean, he managed to pull it out of the bag and make a great film. So I think with the second one, they're like, okay, we'll give you more money for this one, and we'll sort of we won't interfere. We'll let you, you know, make the film.
Yeah, that's interesting. A lot of studios can, if they interfere too much, they can ruin the outcome of a project. I mean, look at the Amazing Spider-Man movies. The studio messed around with those, and look how that turned out. But it's good.
Yeah.
It's good to hear. I mean, obviously, like when you're making a film like this, you never initially set out to make a masterpiece. No one who's made a masterpiece, when they're making it, they don't know they're going to make it a masterpiece. It all depends on the reaction and the response to the film, and they struck gold with these films. Less so with the third, but the third still generally was received well, wasn't it? Even though people just said, "Oh, it was definitely the weakest."
I mean, the third one, when it came out, it got like 8 Academy Award nominations, including Best Picture. So it was nominated for Best Picture, and you know, I think the third one, like if you look on Rotten Tomatoes, it's still got good reviews. The third film, but yeah, I don't know why people like there's some people out there who just trash it and say, "Oh, the third one's shit, it's crap," you know, and I don't understand that. I mean, I can understand the criticism maybe of Sofia Coppola not being the greatest actress, but apart from that, I don't really have any flaws with the third film. I think the third film for me is up there with the first two. I mean, yeah, it's not as good as the first and second film, but it's still a really, really good film, and I think it's a very satisfying conclusion to the trilogy. But yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it probably is the weakest of the three, but I honestly don't really mind that too much because it's still very good. I mean, they tried really hard to make it great. I don't think they're ever going to come close to the first one or even the second one. Definitely not the second, but it's they finished the story, and I think they did it well. And I think these films are more or less on par with each other to some degree. But I think this particular film, this second one, does have the slight edge over the.
Where my wife sleeps. Where my children.
great performance from Al Pacino.
Yeah, he's losing it.
Yeah. He thinks he's the one who like shot at him, like Frank Pentangeli.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, he's not.
Like anything. What can I do?
It's interesting. This is his like study, his father's study. Like this used to be a study room from the first film because he sold the old Corleone family house to this guy, Frank Pentangeli. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you ask me to lay down, tell him, Mike? I've been wrong to try to have me killed.
Oh. Yeah, he knows. He's not stupid.
Yeah.
Let's hit him all now while
I mean, this guy, like, he's not really like against him, is he? He's just kind of he's being accused, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I think Hyman Roth's trying to make it look like Frank Pentangeli was the one who shot at him because there's a little bit of tension between them, but I mean they're both partners and stuff like that. And I think Hyman Roth's trying to like, he's trying to be his, pretend to be his friend, and he's trying to say that this guy, like he's trying to make it out like Frank Pentangeli is the one who shot at him. But I mean, Michael has a very big hunch that it's Hyman Roth, but he can't like prove it. Like, Yeah.
But he's definitely going to try and rat him out, Hyman Roth, and trying to, to make sure that it was him. And then if he knows, if he's got concrete proof that it was him, then I suppose he'll deal with him, won't he?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
He's going to think his relationship with me is still good.
Yeah, it's interesting how he's sort of scheming and plotting to take out his enemies, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose now he realizes why his dad didn't trust Hyman Roth.
Yeah, and then he was trying to say to him, your dad respected him, but he didn't trust him, Yeah. One thing I will say, Fredo's wife is sexy.
Certainly is. I mean, I guess she basically is a slapper, isn't she? I mean, just sleeping around with who knows what down every alleyway.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder, like, how he got her to be his wife. I mean, good on him.
Yeah. Yeah. This is like one of my favorite scenes of the film where he gets the phone call, and you kind of realize what's going on here. He's up. He's sort of plotting against Michael. Yeah. It's sad what happened to John Cazale. I think like 4 or 5 years after this, he passed away of cancer. He was quite young when he died, but yeah.
Oh, it's a real shame to hear that. Well, at least he can be remembered for greatness such as this.
Yeah. It's also in Deer Hunter and what else? Dog Day Afternoon with Al Pacino. That's a great film as well. I love the way she's like, "Oh, who's that? Wrong number." Well,
Nobody here. Play the card, Chief. It's okay, Chief.
I mean, this film is very dark, but I do appreciate the light moments they have in there as well, like the little bits of comedy in there as well. It's not completely like 100% bleak, you know. Like, yeah.
Yeah, and also this particular the last couple of scenes have also been set at Christmas, and there was a Christmas sequence in the first one, so it's nice that I suppose they do that to add some kind of lightness, even if it's just to make it look a bit happier at certain points. But oh god,
yeah. Yeah. It's interesting how he sets him up. Like, oh, Michael Corleone says hello, and of course Michael wouldn't do that, but you know, Frank Pentangeli thinks afterwards that Michael did do it. You know.
Yeah. But I mean, it won't matter anyway because they're killing him, aren't they? So.
Well, he manages to live. Like, he gets very badly strangled, but he does survive. Yeah. There's a cop.
Carmine, no, not here, not here. You open this fucking
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Oh, massive shootout.
Yeah. Fucking hell.
Chaos. That's the life of being involved in the mafia. It's chaos.
Yeah, that's true. I've actually been playing Mafia 2 recently on PS4. That's a pretty fun game. They remastered it and released it. Mafia Trilogy, but yeah.
Ooh. Might have to try that. I suppose that's, yeah, I suppose it feels a bit like the Godfather in a way.
It does actually, yeah. They did have a couple of Godfather games, like Godfather for Xbox and PS2 and all. That was quite fun. Played a bit of that, and they had a Godfather 2 game, I think, for PS3. That I might buy that at some point and play that. But yeah,
yeah, presumably, obviously based on the film, which should be quite something to see a game of this film.
Come on,
yeah. Oh,
which probably would be more stereotypically violent and brutal, which is what people would think, like, against the film to be. But yeah,
I think the game got sort of mixed reviews, but yeah, because I think they probably just thought, "Oh, Godfather, let's shoot him up, action." But yeah, I mean, this scene's quite dark. With the senator from earlier, you know, he thinks he's killed this prostitute, but yeah.
But I woke up, I was in full. I don't know how it happened.
oh god. So they're accusing him of what, murdering a prostitute?
Yeah. The thing is, I don't think he did do it. Yeah, I think when he was asleep, they killed. Yeah. I think when he was asleep, they killed the prostitute and then said that he did it, so the senator will be framed because he doesn't want to work with Michael. He doesn't want to help him out, you know, and they're trying to say to him, "Oh, look, we'll cover this up, you know. She doesn't have any family. She doesn't have anybody, so it'll be like she never existed, you know." Yeah.
Oh god. It's really quite horrific, actually.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't understood why. I can't figure it out.
It's a sick thing to do, you know, blaming him for that, you know. I mean, of course, he was probably using the prostitute for his own personal, you know, benefit, but still, you know.
Yeah.
We're done before. And I know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but I mean, of course, they killed this prostitute and blamed it on him, so they could, you know, get him to help out Michael and all that, because he was refusing to do that, and they're like, well, yeah, he's saying, oh yeah, we can help you, you know, we can get rid of her body, you know, pretend like she never existed, you know, we'll help you out, and that's why he sort of gets him on their side, but yeah.
Hmm. Honey, I'm home.
Sorry, Mrs. Corleone, we're not to let you through.
I'm just waiting for Market.
Just
I think she might have dyed her hair for this one, because she was more blonde in the first one. Here she's more like brunette, but
Yeah, and then obviously she's quite old in the third one, but then there's a lot of time that's passed, hasn't there? So
Michael's request for your safety.
yeah.
Send out for anything that you need.
I see. I'm supposed to stay in my house.
No, we don't have them.
Oh, I was going to take
I think she did Annie Hall after this, which won Best Picture in like 76 or 77. Yeah.
Hmm. Well, I'm just glad that we've got films like this, but then we've also got films like Return of the Pink Panther, which, you know, we could all just have a laugh with. So it's sometimes nice to just, you know, relax with a comedy.
Yeah, and funnily enough, that film came out a year after Godfather 2.
Yeah.
Actually, saying that, Revenge of the Pink Panther is really funny, because they sort of parody the gangster films that were popular at that time in the 70s. Like, there's a bit where Peter Sellers dresses up as a gangster, and he's like, "Spaghetti for Al Pacino." Like, God. Yeah, all the stuff in Cuba is really good. I remember my mum wanted to go to Cuba. She wanted to bring me and my brother to Cuba, but we went to Sicily, which was great, like a few years ago. This is like the first foreign holiday in years, but that was great. I mean, actually, we were going to go. Like, I said, "Oh, can we go to Corleone?" Because there's a town in Sicily called Corleone, and as you said, "Oh yeah, we can go there." But fortunately, we didn't go there. But we did go to all these other great places in Sicily where they probably shot The Godfather and stuff like that. You know.
Nice. I mean, I can imagine it must be bloody hot over there. I mean,
Oh yeah, it was boiling. Yeah, bloody hell. Yeah.
you wonder like how these people can wear suits every day, you know, in this weather. But I suppose they acclimatise pretty easily if they've grown up there. So,
Yeah. Yeah, it's like 45 degrees over there. It's like baking. Yeah.
fucking hell, 1 hour 19 minutes. Jeez Louise.
Only 2 hours left.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is interesting because the mob, I think the mafia did actually like they did have meetings and all that in Cuba, and like before Castro had the revolution in the 50s, you know, Cuba was like the second Las Vegas for the mob, but yeah.
Yeah.
I would like to take this opportunity to thank United Telephone and Telegraph.
A lot of fucking money.
Yeah. That's mainly all it's about, isn't it? You know, money. They throw money around and then, you know, things happen. And in a lot of cases, bad things.
Yeah.
It's a very unstable life to live. I mean, especially if you have a family like Michael obviously has his wife and kids. Like, if I had wife and kids, then I would try my best not to live a life like this, because again, you just put everyone in danger. It's just whether you do anything or not. If you're involved, then you're involved. There's no way of there's a very slim chance of getting out of it, as you said. So I think that raises the stakes as well. The fact that he's now got kids to think about, and yet I guess he doesn't. He kind of thinks very selfishly.
Well, I mean, he sort of has I mean, he has. I mean, he has to balance out. I mean, thing is, he can't really be a family man because he is this. He is the Godfather. You know, he's the head of the mafia and all that, and you know, he has to conduct a lot of business meetings and all this stuff, and he has to plan against his enemies and stuff. But yeah, no, I think you're right. Yeah, I mean, you know, I think anybody whose family's been involved, like in the mafia or criminal gangs, you know, it always ends up badly. Like that's what, you know, other mobsters have said who've managed to get out of that. But yeah,
Oh,
most of them don't. But yeah, fuck yeah.
something happened there.
Yeah,
The
these are
thing-
the Cuban revolutionaries. But yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, sorry, it was my fault. The thing is, Michael loves his kids. He does actually love his kids. Like we saw the moment there with his son earlier, and obviously we know from the third film that he loves his daughter very much as well. So you know, he does. You know, he's not an incompassionate person. He's like you say, he's too wrapped up in his quote unquote family business. So yeah.
When a man comes to this point in his life,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
over
he
yeah,
he, you know, there's the family, and then there's his family. But yeah, there's two families. You know, the family, which is the mob, and then there's his family, and it's hard to balance out both of them. But yeah,
doctors would disagree.
Mm.
Why they know
Yeah, and obviously he's got to have control over
all things that
both things. And I mean, that's the thing with this film is there's a constant spiral. You know, everything's just going round and round, and
knows how to help this
yeah, and then his whole world, I guess, comes crashing down on him. You know,
figure.
and he causes it himself. That's, I think, the sort of realization at the end of this film, and then in the third one, is that all those bad things that happened, he caused. So yeah, and that's something he has to learn and has to live with.
yeah, exactly. I mean, karma comes to sort of bite him on the arse in the third one, but for all the evil stuff he's done. But yeah,
You all know
Mm.
Michael Corleone, and we all remember his father. At the time of my retirement,
Yeah.
before death,
Hyman Roth. Yeah,
all my interests.
I mean, it's kind of interesting as well. He's sort of I mean, he is sick in real life, but he's sort of trying to play like this.
all of you.
He's trying to play to Michael that he's like this weak old man and he can't really do anything. And then Michael, you know, he's sussing him out. He's realizing that he's fake, but yeah.
Eddie Levine of Newport will bring in the Pacino.
Yeah, you can see just by the way Pacino is looking there at the camera, the way he's kind of listening to what he's saying. You can see in his face, he's like, no, I don't buy this. And I think that's great. It's a great acting moment. Like when an actor can convey that much, like what he's thinking and feeling without even saying anything, that's when you know you've given a terrific performance. You know, this is really it is a terrific performance. No one else could have done this, I think, to the level that he has. He's wrapped himself in this part so well in this one. He's so much better than he's in the first one as well, I think.
Yeah, no, I thought he was amazing in the first one, but yeah, he's even better in this one. I think, you know, I think really with this film, yeah, you're thinking to yourself, yeah, he is the Godfather. You know, I mean, he's great in this film. He really is. He's great, and yeah, I mean, I think this film's one of the reasons why Al Pacino is like my favorite actor, and I think it's one of the reasons why he's the best actor, one of the best actors of all time, because you know, every film that he does, he always invests like 110% into the character, and like every time I see him like play a different character on film, it's like he is a different character. It's not like him just, you know, playing himself in every film he does. But yeah,
exactly. So many actors, you know, actors can bring themselves into a part. That's fine, but I think when an actor does basically play themselves in a part, that's when you know it's not really working, and that they're not the most diverse or well-rounded of actors. And I think actors who can really convey a different character in each time, that's great. That's fantastic, and that is what acting's all about. You know, you're trying to pretend to be someone else. And you know, some actors have roles which are quite like themselves in real life, so it's kind of hard to distinguish you know, them from, you know, from reality, you know, distinguish the character from reality. But in this case, you know, Michael Corleone is so far in away from what Al Pacino is like in real life. So, yeah, I mean, kudos to him and Francis Ford Coppola.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he should definitely have won an Oscar for this. I mean, he was completely robbed at the Oscars. I mean, I love that look in his face. He's like looking at him like, you know, like, what the fuck is your problem kind of thing. Like, you know, I don't trust you. Like, no, but I mean, he no, he should have won the Oscar. I mean, I think that year, I think that they sort of gave a sympathy Oscar to Art Carney because I mean, he was an actor. He was a really good actor in other films. He didn't get the Academy Award, so they sort of gave a sympathy Oscar out that year. But they really should have given the Oscar to Al Pacino. But
yeah, exactly. I totally agree. That's the thing with the Academy. They're so 1 minute they're giving out sympathy Oscars for other people, and then the next minute, you know, you have to wait years and years and years for the person you think deserves it to actually get it, and then by that time, no one cares. It's like, oh, well, what's the point? I kind of think screw the Academy in certain instances now. I don't care too much about the Oscars, but I'm glad certain films won Oscars, like 1917. I'm glad that I think it won a couple of Oscars, didn't it? I'm not sure.
I mean, personally, I think it should have won Best Picture. I mean, I thought Parasite was great, but I would have given the Oscar to 1917. But
yeah.
I mean, I think that you're right about the Academy. Like Al Pacino, for instance, he didn't win an Oscar for ages, and then when he did win the Oscar, he won it for Scent of a Woman, and he was good in that, but he wasn't one of his best performances. Like Denzel Washington probably should have won the Oscar that year instead of Al Pacino. But yeah, they give out sympathy Oscars when it's too late sometimes. Like Gary Oldman, I mean, I thought he was amazing. He definitely deserved the Oscar for Darkest Hour. He was amazing in that, but he should have won an Oscar many years before that. You know, he's given out all these great performances, and he was only nominated twice, I think, by the Academy, which is insane. But
yeah. I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen this film, but it's called The Pianist. It stars Adrian Brody, and at the time he was the youngest male actor to win a Best Actor Oscar. He played this. I think he was Jewish. This Jewish pianist, and it was set during like World War II, I think. And he meets this German Nazi sort of soldier who actually shows him sympathy and doesn't kill him. It's quite a long film, but it's quite an interesting journey for his character. It's a very depressing film. It's quite emotional. I thought it was a really good film, and Adrian Brody gives a fantastic performance. Really, really quite something. And funny enough, the guy that plays the German soldier is actually Thomas Kretschmann, who actually both the actors appeared in King Kong a few years later with Peter Jackson. So I find that quite ironic. But have you ever seen The Pianist?
No, I haven't, but I have seen Chinatown, which is directed by the same guy who directed that film, Roman Polanski. Chinatown's a great film as well. Actually, funny enough, Chinatown came out the same year as Godfather 2, and that was nominated for Best Picture as well. And that film's a masterpiece as well. But yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously up against the Godfather 2, you know, that was always going to be a tough one to beat.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad Godfather 2 won because I think it's a better film than Chinatown. But I've seen some people say Chinatown should have won, and I can understand why they'd say that. But I think Godfather 2 is more of a landmark in film. But yeah, I mean, I like all the stuff here as well with Fredo, like where he's trying to sort of reconnect with him a little bit, you know, like in Cuba, like yeah.
Yeah, I think Fredo, I kind of see him as a bit of a lost soul, really. He doesn't know where he fits in, and, you know, I think now he kind of just looks up to his brother, thinking, well, you know, I don't have anyone else, so I need him in my life. Otherwise, you know, I need him for guidance or something. And that's ironic because he's older than him, but I guess that's just the way it works. But I think their relationship is very complex in this film. It's very interesting, and obviously it's yet to get more complicated. I mean, we watched this for an hour and a half. My goodness me, it's flown by.
Yeah. I think yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, even though he's his younger brother, I think he probably realizes he's smarter than him, and he's the Godfather, and he kind of, yeah, he's kind of looking to him for guidance, like he kind of, but at the same time, he's kind of conflicted because he wants people to respect him more, and he wants Michael to respect him more, and realize that he's not dumb, but yeah.
Yeah, I think Michael probably does respect his brother deep down, but I just think he does. He probably finds him hard to deal with. Obviously, there's a scene later on where he has to forgive him for something he's done wrong, and obviously that proves Michael's real response to that proves to be not what it should have been.
Yeah, I mean, there's that scene, the first one as well, where like Fredo's like, oh, you don't come to Las Vegas and talk to a man like Mo Green like that, and he's like, Fredo, you're my older brother, and I love you, but don't ever take sides with the family again. And unfortunately, like he didn't listen to that warning in the first film, and so he did take sides against the family, and that's what got him killed. But yeah.
I think it's interesting to see the array of costumes in this film. Like with Michael, like he's wearing black now, and whereas before he sort of wears grey and then white and then beige. He wears such an array of different suits, but they all still accentuate the same kind of vibe from him. He's still got that sort of power. You could see. I mean, I'm not. Is he wealthy or not really?
Oh yeah, he's wealthy. I mean, he's the bloody Godfather. He better be wealthy. But yeah, I mean, he's living in a nice house and all that. But yeah,
yeah. So I mean, that comes across in his costumes. But everything, the performance is perfect. The way he stands, the way he looks at everyone, the emotion, just everything. I mean, obviously, it's helped by the script and the dialogue as well. And he's not the. I just don't think Michael's that close to anyone in this film, other than his wife, probably. But even then, his relationship with his wife kind of falls apart, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't even think he's close to her in this one. She's trying to talk to him and connect with him and all that, and he's just kind of pushing her away. And then he eventually does push her away by closing the door on her. But I mean, I like this scene here with Hyman Roth, where he's talking about the guy from the first one, Mo Green. The guy got shot through the eyeball because he wouldn't sell his casino to Michael, and he's kind of angry about that because he grew up with Mo Green, and I think he knows that Michael killed Mo Green, and he's telling him this story. Yeah.
I suppose Michael's only really close to his kids, but even then, he doesn't spend enough time with them.
Yeah. Sort of becomes less human in this film, and yeah. But I mean, this is sort of interesting here. Like we're just talking about Mo Green, because Mo Green, he's like, I mean, this is kind of paralleling real life, where Bugsy Siegel, he's the guy who created Las Vegas, and here he's saying, "Oh, Mo Green created Las Vegas," and I guess like this Hyman Roth character is supposed to be like Meyer Lansky, but yeah, he was also a mobster at the time. But yeah.
Yeah, and what he just said about this business, we never ask for it, but we're in it and we have to do it, and kind of reflecting the whole mafia business really. That's making a big statement about it. Like it's a cruel world. I mean, the world's cruel anyway, but going into this line of work, I mean, fuck, you're basically doomed if you get caught in this life.
Yeah. I think I mean, it's interesting about Hyman Roth. Like, he's a very wealthy man, but he lives like he's poor. He lives in a very small house, and it's a very humble looking place. But it's kind of sort of disguising who he really is, because he's a very wealthy man. You know, he doesn't need to live like a poor person, but he does. But yeah,
I suppose it's sensible, really, because he's trying to manage his money, you know, so that he can kind of, have enough to last him for the rest of his life. I mean, he's an elderly chap, so he probably knows he's not going to live for much longer. But yeah. But this scene is really interesting. This club or wherever it is, and I mean, the set looks stunning and just visually looks fantastic. I mean, I wonder where they filmed this or whether they built this set, because I love the fountain in the background.
yeah, I agree. Yeah.
All right, gentlemen, it's refill time here. You might try some of the local drinks, Uva Libre, Pina Colada. I think I'll try one of
This
those.
is later on he finds out
That you got.
Fredo betrayed him.
Yeah,
In
that's
this
it.
scene.
So is Fredo in cahoots with Hyman Rothman or something?
I think Johnny Ola, that guy there, who's saying, "Oh, do you know?" I think Michael was saying him, "Oh, do you know Johnny Ola, Fredo?" And he's like, "Oh no, I don't know Johnny Ola." And of course he does know Johnny Ola. And later on, this scene is where he reveals, he lets it slip in this scene that Johnny Ola, like, he's come here before, and then Michael overhears him saying he already knew who Johnny Ola was when he said he didn't, and he sort of realizes that he betrayed him. But
Yeah. Why does he decide to work with Johnny Ola or whatnot?
I think because he said, like, he felt like he was sort of stepped over, like, disrespected. He wanted people to respect him. And I mean, I don't think he realized that they were trying to kill Michael. He just thought, he said, "Oh, they said if I, worked with him, it'd be good for the business, and then so he's kind of deceived a little bit. But yeah, Michael doesn't forgive him. Yeah,
of course not. So Michael completely gets the wrong end of the stick and thinks that Fredo's betrayed him and been disloyal, when the truth is completely the opposite.
well, he did betray him a little bit, but I don't think Fredo thought that Michael was going to get killed. I mean, but yeah. He's like, "Oh, Johnny Ola told me about this place," and Michael's just overheard that. Oh, shit.
Oh yeah, there you go. And the look on Michael's face, like, shit, that's my own brother, and he's fucking sold me out,
Yeah. He's like, "Old man Roth" and all that, and he's like, "Oh, fuck."
The look on
betrayed
Michael's
him,
face, he looks so angry. He looks as though he wants to, kill him. But he's kind of despairing into his hand, and he doesn't really quite know how to take that. His own brother.
Yeah. That's true, yeah.
Oh,
Fucking strangling him with a coat hanger. Oh, God.
that's Rob Duvall, isn't it?
Yeah, he's killing Johnny Ola now. That's Michael's guy. Yeah.
No, with a hanger.
Coat hanger, yeah.
It'd be cool if he just hung him back on the in the wardrobe with all the rest of the clothes.
I can imagine Roger Moore or something, like, if this is Roger Moore Bond film, he'd say, "Oh, I hung him up to dry." Something like that.
I'm surprised they never use that line in one of Roger Moore's Bond movies.
Yeah. I suppose, like, yeah, you could have Bond kill someone with a coat hanger, but yeah. Well,
And
I suppose his Bond's more of a gentleman.
Hyman Roth's dying, isn't he, or something?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, you find out later he's terminal, but yeah, it doesn't stop Michael killing him for trying to kill him.
Yeah. Well. Sorry, I know I keep mentioning about the runtime, but I'm amazed how quickly it's moved. It's 1 hour 40 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, it flies by for a 3.5 hour film.
I mean, how do you even pace a movie that long and keep track of it? I mean, yeah, it's one of the best long movies ever made. It's one of the best movies ever made.
Yeah. Feliz San Nuevo, I think that's Spanish for Happy New Year, but yeah.
Mm. Yeah, 'cause-
This scene's great here where he's like, you broke my heart, Fredo. You broke my heart, Yeah.
yeah, you can see how like Michael's looking at him. Oh, he's died, isn't he?
Hyman Roth? No, not yet.
Oh, right. I thought he just died there.
No, he doesn't die towards the end until the end of the film. I mean, he's ill, but he's not dead yet. This guy, Michael's bodyguard, who killed Johnny Ola, I think he's going to try and kill Hyman Roth for him, but that doesn't turn out well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the attention to detail. I mean, wow, it's one of like the best looking films in terms of sets and costumes.
It's so easy to get sucked into the world of this film and the look of it, and that's what the visuals have to do. They to draw you in and catch your eye. And I love this set as well. The set of the ballroom is massive and it's huge, and I love the chandeliers as well. Like you say, attention to detail is a wonderful thing, and this film gets it right.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're all going to New Year's party.
Has Alan seen these films?
Yeah, he's seen the Godfather trilogy. Yeah.
I'm surprised he hasn't reviewed them yet on his channel.
I think he said to me he rented them many years ago on VHS, but yeah, I don't think he owns them.
No,
He said he really liked them. He said the first one I think is his favorite, and I think he actually prefers the third one to the second one. But yeah.
Oh, nice. Maybe he'll review them one day.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah.
Oh.
Fuck.
Whoever said this film didn't have any violence or blood?
Yeah, I mean, but the good thing is it's not all the time. It mostly focuses on the drama. You have your brief bits of violence when you need to, but yeah.
Exactly. I mean, people who just want to watch this film for sheer spectacle, I mean, well, get out of there. That's not what this film is.
Right.
It's a 3.5 hour drama,
Yeah.
You broke my heart.
Great scene.
Yeah. The way he was grabbing him there, like, he was holding him so hard, he could have, like, crushed his head and strangled him.
Yeah. I mean, that's the kiss of death, apparently, what he gave him. It literally is the kiss of death anyway, because Fredo dies. But, yeah.
Yeah. Of course, that comes at the very end. I guess that's the thing. Once you cross Michael, you know that you're not going to be forgiven. Of course, I think Don Vito was slightly more open to forgiving people, but even then, not that much.
Yeah, I mean, there's that scene in the first one where Sonny dies, and then he calls that meeting, and he's like, I've lost a son, you've lost a son, I'm willing to forgive this, but he's like, but if something happens to Michael, if he's struck by a bolt of lightning, or something bad happens to him, I'm going to blame the people in this room. So he can forgive more than Michael does, but yeah, I think Don Corleone, he can only forgive you like once or maybe twice, but with Michael, sort of no chances. If you blew your first chance, that's kind of it. But yeah.
yeah, he doesn't like. He's not going to give people the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Fredo feels a bit guilty, I think.
Yeah. I think he's scared as well. Like this scene here.
The only way out of here tonight. Roth is dead. Fredo! Fredo, come with me!
Oh, he's lied to him. He said that Hyman Roth is dead.
I think he thinks his assassin already killed Roth, but unfortunately his assassin got killed. And he's trying to smother Roth with the pillow, but yeah.
Oh, yeah. And now Fredo's running scared from his own brother.
Yeah. He's not a nice guy.
No.
It's interesting how it sort of shows the Cuban Revolution in the 50s, right? Which actually happened.
Yeah. It's a horrible sort of time, really. I mean, looking at this, it's a complete riot.
Yeah. The sort of Cuba sort of became communist after this. Yeah, Castro and all that.
This is an interesting music track. It's a little different to some of the previous tracks in the score, I thought.
Yeah, it was a good track as well. Yeah.
This is probably the brightest looking shot in the entire film.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, I appreciate the dark shots. It creates the atmosphere. That's what I love about these films as well. Yeah, it is the way they're shot. They'll have the room very dark with only like a couple of lamps on, and it really sort of creates a sort of orange look to it. Sort of creates that atmosphere, the lighting and everything.
Yeah, it has that sort of Venezia kind of sepia look to it, which I think is interesting. And also, realistically, where they live, they don't need a lot of light. They, because they live in such a hot country and the sun shines most of the day. So, yeah, they only need very dim lights. And I think it works on a practical level and on a thematic and, visual level for the film. Like you say, it does create atmosphere. And, films are not anything if atmospheric.
Yeah.
And also, Coppola knows where to put the lights in the room without it affecting what's on the camera too much, because you can easily have a light that's too bright, or too dim. You've got to find that balance, and it's got to sort of complement the lens of the camera and so many technical things. But he seems to just get it perfectly in this film.
Yeah. I think the sort of lighting of all three films is very consistent. Yeah. So all sort of have the same look, which is nice, but yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's important. That's consistency. That's one thing that certain film series lack, but this film series is definitely good for it. It's good for consistency.
Yeah. A miscarriage.
Now, can't you give me a straight answer anymore?
Shit.
Yeah.
He's talking about his wife there, isn't he? Like saying she had a miscarriage or something.
Yeah, and there turns out to be an abortion, but
Oh yes,
yeah.
that would be certainly a dramatic scene later on. But I like the transition there, how we fade into Robert De Niro, and interesting. I think that they've kind of made Robert De Niro look very similar to Pacino. I guess that really just to show that they are father and son in this.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love Pacino in this, like, because for most of the film he's quite calm, but when he loses it, it's really effective. Like, can you give me a straight answer anymore? Is it a
Yeah.
boy?
It
Yeah,
would be overbearing for him to just go around, throwing his weight around and shouting all the time. That would just be really crass. Like, you've got to build up to those moments. Like, he would only raise his voice, like you say, if it was genuinely necessary for him to do that. I think, and that was what Brando did as well. He never raised his voice. He was calm. He was very calm, and he spoke in that really sinister voice in the first one as well. So yeah, sometimes you don't need to raise your voice.
yeah. I think like it would have been crap if they just went around shouting all the time. It would just been a bit of a cliche if you had the Godfather just shouting all the time, like "Ah, ah, 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 ah,"
Yeah,
But,
exactly. And you should build up to those
but
dramatic moments. But actually, sorry, just to go on a tangent here. Who was the baby? Was it Michael or was it Fredo in the previous scene?
I think it might have been. I think it might have been Sonny. Or yeah, I think it was Sonny because he had an illness and they were trying to help the baby, but thankfully the baby's okay. But yeah, I mean this scene's quite good though. Like you see that he's sort of becoming a bit more rich now. Vito, he's sort of making a bit more money. And Don Fanucci's like, oh, I want my cut. I want my money. Give me my cut. And he's just very greedy. But yeah.
I mean, geez, this man has not had much of money in his life. Why are you trying to rob him? Essentially, he's trying to take half his money away.
Yeah.
Just enough to wet my beak. Yeah. Yeah, how much are you talking?
Yeah. I think it was like he said 100 and they're making like 600, Like, yeah.
I mean, back in those days, obviously, $600 was a lot, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, he wants $600 from them, bloody hell. Yeah. So he basically wants most of their money. Yeah.
But they're not gonna give in to him, are they? They're not gonna give him that much money.
Well, that's where Vito says, "Oh, we'll compromise with him. We'll make a deal with him." And they're like, "Oh, are you nuts?" Yeah.
Why should we give him the money we sweated for? Yeah, too right.
Jordan lui che da seconda aprono, Frank Pigliattaro, Tecino Strade e un girone monete a Fanucci.
Sì, di patronetti a Fanucci, qualche altro a raggiungere di Maranzano.
It's interesting. Like, Panucci sort of runs the town, doesn't he? He's kind of the Don at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah. That's the thing about the mafia. Like, it was interesting recently. Like, I was watching the news and because of this whole coronavirus situation in Italy, a lot of businesses are doing very badly because of the economy and all that, and they don't have enough money. So the mafia love a crisis, and they've like offered people money. Like giving them money for the businesses, so they'll have to pay them back later on. Like, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Because if they don't,
yeah. I think that's the only English word he says in this film. I take care of everything. Yeah. Or one of the only ones. Yeah.
oh yeah, they're going to stitch him up. They're not going to pay him. They're not going to pay him the full amount.
Yeah. That's my business. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's not. Do you think? Does he kill him, or is he just going to sort of like rough him up to try and get him to not ask for so much money?
Oh no, he doesn't kill him. I mean, he offers him money, but not the amount that he wanted. He gives him less money than he wants. But I think Fanucci says, "Oh, you got balls. I respect you for sort of confronting me." But
Yeah. Da, 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 Nearly 2 hours we've watched this for.
Yeah, been bloody good.
Certainly
Yeah.
has.
Yeah, great film.
I wonder at what point in the film they had the intermission. I'd imagine probably somewhere about halfway through.
Oh no! Later on, it actually says on the Blu-ray intermission for like a brief few seconds, and then
Yeah. Obviously back in those days, it was all done on film, and reels of film can only hold so much, and they need to change them over. I mean, because you've got to think someone is up there in the projector room consistently reeling, turning the reel when people are watching this damn thing. So I feel sorry for the person that was rolling and rolling and rolling without stopping. It must have really, really hurt their arms. I mean, unless they had some special machine to do that, but yeah.
Looks like there's $100 under my hat. Yeah.
Only $100. I'm short of money right now. Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
He needs money for himself as well. So, yeah. You've got balls, young man.
You've got balls. Yeah. How come I never heard of you before? Yeah.
I suppose looking at him there, you must think, that's going to be me in about however many years.
Oh, he made him a deal. He's like, "I'll find you some work for good money." Yeah.
But that's fair.
Because I think, yeah, I think he's the only guy who's like who's ever stood up to him before. Maybe he respects him. Yeah. He's like, "Oh yeah, I could help you out," and then of course Vito's like, "No, fuck that. You're a prick. I'm gonna get rid of you."
Yeah. He's not gonna. He doesn't want to pay him any more money.
Yeah.
Yes. Now I'm reminded of the Simpsons parody now.
Yeah. Don't hold there.
Oh no, man.
Grazie. Well. Yeah, but I mean, look at the attention to detail there, like with these parades and everything, and the sets, and wow, bloody hell.
Yeah, it is really vibrant, and it's just so aesthetically pleasing. I mean, in a way, this is like two films in one, in a way. But I like the fact that they chose to tell both stories, the past one and the present day one. Well, obviously at that time would have been present day, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting that he's taken the money that Vito's given him and he's pinned it up, and he's like, "Oh, look at me! I'm giving money to this noble cause." It's like, well, no, you're not. You're just stealing other people's money.
Yeah, I mean, judging by how the money's hung, maybe the same money grows on trees. Maybe that's where it derives from, or maybe that's just some kind of tip of the hat to that phrase.
Yeah. always tip of the hat to that phrase. Yeah, and look, he's doing the cross sign and all that, and that's the thing about some of these mobsters. Some of them are very devoutly religious, and it's a thing like you got a lot of mobsters because they just confess their sins to a priest, and then that's it. They don't have to worry about it after that. For them, but yeah.
I guess in a way that they're sort of conflicting, aren't they? Because they kind of feel like they have a calling to do this, but yet they know part of what they do is wrong, and then they have to confess and seek forgiveness for it. So it's an interesting kind of dilemma or argument. If you're devoutly religious, and you're in the mafia, then you're kind of it's kind of like a double-edged sword, isn't it? It's a bit of a juxtaposition, isn't it? Bit of a contradiction.
Yeah. I think a lot of these mobsters, they commit these crimes and then they just confess to the priest, and they're like, oh, well, I've confessed to the priest, so, I'm good for now, Yeah.
My father, for I have sinned. That's putting it mildly, 007.
It'd be funny if they had that in this film. Well, I am the Godfather.
I am the Bond father.
Well, why do you treat me so disrespectfully, Mr. Bond?
Because when I look at you, I see sheer magnetism, darling.
Yeah.
How do you kill 5 hours in Sicily if you don't samba?
Yes. How do you? Yeah. Oh.
He's gonna shoot.
Great scene. Yeah, it's a great scene here. Like, he puts the gun over the towel. He puts the towel over the gun so he can sort of muffle the sound. And, when the parade's going on, he shoots them when the fireworks are going off, so no one hears it.
Yeah. And also, that's great. And then he doesn't get his DNA on the gun. And not that would be a huge issue in those days, really, but yeah. Also, the priest in the parade, he reminds me of John Rhys Davies.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Well,
screw your money.
Oh, shit.
That was quite a shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, he certainly has got.
Fucking hell.
Fireworks or sparklers or something.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, he's still alive. Oh, he was for a second there. Huh.
I think he was trying to make sure, that he's dead. Yeah.
I would have put the gun away in your pocket before you exited the room, but oh well.
Well, no one saw him, so.
Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, he is on the roof, so.
There's things how he sort of breaks the gun apart and sends the different parts down the chimney bits, Yeah.
And I guess
Get
this
rid of the gun.
Really the beginning of him becoming the Godfather. His first kill, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right, yeah.
As if nothing happened, he's back down in the parade.
Yep.
Well, the Blu-ray quality is just amazing. It's so clear. I mean, I would have loved to have seen this film in the cinema anyway back in the day, but looking at it now on Blu-ray, I think they should literally re-release these 3 films in the cinema. It would certainly be worth seeing on the big screen.
I like the scene here where
Oh. So this at this point. Oh, that's Michael. Yeah. Oh. Oh, Jack's gone. Hopefully, it's not a Wi-Fi issue. I like that image there with him and his family. I think that's Sonny, Michael, and Fredo. So Connie must be the youngest. Yeah. Interesting. Oh yeah, and that's the intermission. Yeah. No wonder. I mean, the film had been on for 2 hours 6 minutes, so pretty well worth having a toilet break in between. But yeah, I'm sure Jack will be back soon. But we haven't not got that long left. We've got just over an hour, but it's flown by. The pacing has really flown by. So yeah, I'm not concerned about the long run time for this one. It's a film that deserves to be over 3 hours long. We're also back in the present storyline with Michael. Wow, this is a film that really definitely has aged very well. Still looks amazing, and if you have a Blu-ray player, I implore you to get these films on Blu-ray. I recently bought the Corleone Legacy box set on Blu-ray, and wow, I mean, quite simply, wow, they look terrific. And this one certainly does. I mean, I'm going to watch the third one at some point soon, but wow, The Godfather 2, it's one of the best looking films generally, but to see it in HD in its full glory is really quite something. Oh, please come back, Jack. Great set as well. Absolutely brilliant production design across the board for this film. And now we're really starting to see the tensions with Michael and his wife, Kay. There's certainly been a few rumblings, especially with what her quote-unquote miscarriage, which of course we know is not legit. It's actually an abortion, but yeah, it's a powerful drama. I apologize if there's any sort of moments of silence. It's just well, I think of what to say while I'm on my own. Sometimes it's helpful to have two people here normally. I'm sure Jack will come back in a minute, but yeah, his Wi-Fi provider has let him down a lot recently, which is a real shame. But when he comes back, there'll be a bit more talking. But I'll try my best to keep things moving on my own whilst I'm waiting for him.
I mean, you kill people. You kill people at the behest of your superiors.
Looks like there's some kind of court trial going on, some kind of murder trial.
Family is Michael Corleone.
Yeah, Council. Michael Corleone, right.
Did you ever get such an order directly from Michael Corleone?
No, I never talked to him.
Mr. Chichi, if you-
Michael seems to just have his hands in too many pies, by the sounds of it.
Was always rough. Someone in between you and your past superiors who gave the actual.
Right, yeah, Buffalo. Family had a lot of Buffalo.
Mr. Chichi, you may find this very amusing, but I promise you the members of this committee do not.
It's nice to have some more winter settings as well. This is a real contrast from some of the hot settings from earlier and from the first film. Again, the score is just really good for this film. Really, really terrific score. Much more emotive, I think, than the first score. But I mean, the score for the first film was amazing as well. So I'm not shitting the first score at all. Oh. Jack, where are you? Come back, please. Yeah. Talking with his mother there, yeah, definitely theme of family is very strong in this series, and you know he's got to think about his wife and kids, and I think he's still technically kind of grieving from the miscarriage. And again, the transitions, you know, going back and forth from Michael and Don Vito are excellent. Robert De Niro just completely selling it as well. Pacino and De Niro are both amazing. Jack is on his way back.
Don Miguel mi si rivela a due banane c'è questo. Quindi non so perché. I vicini che si ingoiarono con padroni di casa di caso. Sì, e io decidessi che se la via sbarazzare. Quando un padrone di casa venne a sapere si ingazzava, ci disse delle signe.
2 hours, 14 minutes. It's very well paced. Definitely flies by. One of the quickest 3.5 hour films I've ever seen. I mean, you know, I suppose seeing a film that long in the cinema would definitely be quite a bum-numbing experience. Certainly get very stiff at the end, but I suppose it's certainly worth it if the film is as good as this.
Você o Ganucci, signora Roberto, sta dai qua, c'è vicino al club.
Ragazzi, mi fai messo, non fai mattonelle, sporco un intero. Ok, buono. Ah,
And now, by this point, you can kind of see the big change in Don Vito. He looks different. He dresses different. since he's killed the previous time, he's kind of, yeah, I think he's kind of changing, and he's kind of developing a bit more of a front and a bit more of a of the traits that are required to play, or sorry, to be the Godfather, to put on this persona. And he's getting himself involved with a lot of people and just trying to keep his family provided for. But yeah, again, it's mirroring Michael's story as well. I must say, Robert De Niro's skill to learn Italian is really quite something. He did an amazing job.
Ci sono sinistra tantissimo, ma non ci regisa né dai, che è una cristiana gloriosa. E non mi sto trovando.
Jack, where are you? Come on, buddy.
Un cane apre spade. Sto cazzo. Sto cazzo che stanno alla camera, la mia mano comanda. Oh, ma la testa con quattro con mia. Ma se non è quello che un po' usavo che manda sbatto, andate ma tu volete mettere la strada, andate vai. Non lo sto. E spieghi come dice tu in tasto vicinanza che sono vero. Non ti possono dire che io faccio il favore. Ma sa bene. Ma sa bene.
Aspetta, sai che vedevo a casa del suo.
Well, I hope that Jack comes back soon. There's still quite a bit of this film left, and I don't really want to do it all on my own. There's still another hour to go, so yeah. Don Roberto and Robert De Niro.
Devo riportare i soldi come ragazzi. Mi torno a vedere. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, tutto. Perché
$5. That's quite a deal. I'd be reasonable with that. See, that's the thing where he's different from his son, because he has more respect for people. Oh,
Hey,
oh, welcome back.
sorry about that.
That's all right. I thought your Wi-Fi had gone.
That wasn't my Wi-Fi. It was my iPod. It fucking died on me.
Oh, sorry for your loss.
Yeah, I saw your text.
Yeah.
It seems funny here.
Well, we've only got an hour left to go anyway, so.
Yeah. But funny, he's the Godfather now. Like, it's kind of funny. Like, the guy can't open the door. He can't get out of the door. It's really funny. He's so nervous. Well,
nice to have that bit of light relief in such a dark film.
Yeah. And this is why in the first one they get the Genko olive oil and all that.
Yeah. You can really see by this point the change in Vito. He's definitely changed his persona a bit more since that first kill, and the difference is with him and his son is at least Vito has a bit more compassion than Michael.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
He's not as cold.
Yeah. These scenes are really great here as well, like these inquiry scenes, because these happened in real life and they were shot like this in real life, except they were on black and white TV screens. But done a really good job with these inquiry scenes.
And considering how many people there are in the scene as well, it's quite something that they were able to film these.
Yeah. It's quite funny how he's changed his tune all of a sudden.
Yeah. And he wasn't convinced, and now he's like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, because they said, oh, yeah, we could help you out with this prostitute, make her disappear.
I'm the Godfather.
Italian-Americans are among the loyal, most of all, patriotic, hard-working American citizens in this land.
It's overdoing it a little bit.
Yeah. Is he just putting on an act? Like, is he just like trying to convince them that, like, he's just trying to make them think that he's in support of them when he's not?
Yeah. That's what he's trying to do. Like, they're trying to inquire about whether Michael is involved in the mafia and behind all these killings and stuff, and he's pretending to them like, yeah, this is a great man, and Italian Americans are great people and decent people and all that. Like, he doesn't really believe that, but yeah.
Preach it, baby, preach it.
Yeah. I didn't notice this before on the DVD, but on the Blu-ray it's more noticeable. They have like a Corleone family tree there on the sort of a family tree, is in like boss family tree on the whiteboard in the background. But,
oh, nice. Yeah. Well, I mean, as I showed you in my Blu-ray set, they give me a paper family tree of the Corleone family, which is kind of nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
Murder of the heads of the so-called 5 families in New York, who assumed consolidation.
Oh yeah, this is in the first film where he killed all the bosses at the end. Yeah.
Is it true that you have a controlling interest in 3 of the major hotels in Las Vegas?
I mean, what's interesting about the Godfather films is they did do an edit of the first 2 films for TV, where they edited all the scenes that are set in the past and all the scenes that are set in the future, and they put them in like chronological order. And they did the same thing for the third film as well. They like take all the scenes and put them all in chronological order from the first to the third film, and they actually added in deleted scenes and like extended scenes and stuff. I mean, you can't get them now on Blu-ray or DVD, but they came out in like VHS and stuff like that. But I mean, they should release them on Blu-ray or DVD. Like, it'd be interesting, like, to see that sort of cut of the film. But yeah,
that's interesting. So was that something that just Coppola did himself, or just the studios or something?
I think it might have been both. Like, they did like a cut of like all 3. Initially, it was the first 2 films, put them in chronological order, and they showed them on TV, like in episodes. And then for the third one, they put them all in chronological order and showed them on VHS and stuff. But yeah.
I served my country faithfully and honorably in World War II and was awarded the Navy Cross for actions in defense of my country.
It's interesting that he's sort of referencing this, to defend himself. Yeah.
Yeah. He needs. Yeah. He kind of needs to, otherwise his kids will be without father, and he'll lose his position of power. So.
Yeah.
Plus, what evidence do they really have against him? They don't really have much to go on other than some of his past dealings, do they? So,
Yeah, exactly. That's why they get in Frank Pentangeli, the guy from earlier, because Hyman Roth said, "Oh, Michael." Like, he got one of his guys to say Michael Corleone says hello, so he thinks that Michael was the one who tried to kill Frank Pentangeli, even though it was Hyman Roth. So, like Hyman Roth give evidence against Michael, so they could sort of prosecute him in the mafia. But yeah,
yeah.
I remind you that you're still under subpoena.
He's still under what, subpoena or something. What does that mean?
subpoena. Yeah, it's some kind of American legal term. I don't know, but yeah.
Does that mean like he's just under like they're just watching him basically? They're just like under supervision. No?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, yeah.
I suppose it's like a caution, isn't it? He's just being warned that if he does anything else, then it will come up in the courts again. So,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know any of these legal terms. I'm not that intelligent when it comes to that stuff, but yeah.
Well, I mean, you're all lawyers, so
No.
all is forgiven. But yeah.
Why?
I mean, that guy in the background. That guy in the background there is putting the clues on the bed. Harry Dean Stanton. He's a really great character actor. He died recently, like I think last year. Like he was like 90, like 90 odd. Like I think he was like 92 or something. Or yeah, but great actor. He's been in loads of films. But yeah.
Including this one.
Yeah. In a great film called Paris, Texas. That's probably his best role, but yeah.
Oh, is he explaining to him about Fredo?
Yeah.
Why he double crossed him?
Yeah. I think Michael does regret in the third one killing Fredo, because I mean Fredo, even though Fredo did betray him, he didn't think that the people he was talking to were going to kill Michael. He didn't think they were going to go that far. They tried to explain that to Michael, but Michael wasn't having any of it because Fredo betrayed him, and then I think he regretted, killing him in the third film. And I mean, what's funny is I think Mario Puzo, the writer of the novel, he didn't want Michael to kill Fredo in this film. Like, he thought it was a bit too far, but I think they made a compromise. Like, he said, like, Michael will only kill Fredo after his mother had passed away, so she'd never find out, because
yeah,
that'd be even worse. Yeah.
I guess he felt, well, like he was never going to do it himself physically. He was just going to order the death of his brother and, get someone else to do it. But I guess, he still feels guilty anyway because it was his choice to do it. And, yeah, again, his own brother. So, that's really that probably is too far. But I think it's good in a way because it shows you how far he's gone. And like I said earlier, it's like a breaking point. Like, he can't literally get much worse and much more pathetic than killing his own brother. So no wonder he sort of he sort of loses it in the third one, and he wants to find redemption and forgiveness. But I don't think there's ever a way that he could fully redeem himself. But at least he sort of makes peace with how he was, and he realizes the error of his ways. But it doesn't bring his brother back. That's the only downside. But yeah.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite scenes of the film, actually. The whole scene where, Fredo's trying to explain to Michael, and Michael's like, you're nothing to me now. You're not a brother. You're not a friend. I don't want to know you or what you do. Like,
I mean, if that was you and your brother, that would be quite heartbreaking. I mean, I'm sure it'd be heartbreaking for anyone, but I mean, if I put myself in the situation between me and one of my sisters, I would feel bad for cutting them out. I wouldn't want to cut any of my family out. That would be a horrible thing to do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I suppose if they try to get you killed, you wouldn't talk to him anymore. But I don't think I'd go as far. I don't think I'd go as far as killing my own brother. But yeah, I mean, I think
Can't say you've not
saw.
been tempted.
Yeah,
You're my kid brother, and you take care
I
of
love this bit. Yeah.
Did you think about that? Did you ever once think about that? Send Fredo off to do this, send Fredo off to do that. Let Fredo take care of some Mickey Mouse nightclub somewhere. Let Fredo to pick somebody up at the airport. I'm their older brother, Mike, and I was stepped over. It ain't the way I want it. I can handle things, I'm smart. Not like everybody says. I'm dumb, I'm smart, and I want respect.
Yeah. Too right. You tell him.
Yeah, it's probably John Cazale's best performance. Like, great scene.
Yeah, he's a character who's certainly looking for acceptance from everyone else. He's not trying to do bad things. He just wants people to love him and have a bit of respect for him because, yeah, people do walk over him, even though he's older than Michael. He's getting sick and tired of feeling like he's lesser than him.
Yeah, Michael says, it's the way Pop. He's like, I'm your older brother, Michael, and I was stepped over. He's like, well, it's the way Pop wanted it, and he's like, it's not the way I wanted it, Like,
Oh yeah, he's like, no, I'm cutting you out of my life. I don't want to know you. That's very extreme. I mean, for essentially making a mistake, he didn't intend to get Michael killed, as you say, but he just mixed with the wrong people. I guess Michael just took that very, very badly.
Yeah. It's a great scene, you're not a brother, you're not a friend. I don't want to know what you do. And he's like, oh yeah, when you see our mother, I'm going to know a day in advance so I won't be there.
Oh God. Do you think at that moment that's when he decides he's going to kill him?
Yeah, because he says, like, oh, I don't want anything to happen to him while my mother's still alive. He's just kind of waiting until she dies, and then, because she's an old woman now, but yeah. I mean, one scene I forgot to mention because my iPod died, but there was that great scene earlier when he comes back. Like, it went to an intermission. I really like that scene where Vito's saying, oh, you're my son, Michael, and I love you. And then later on after that, I love the scene where Michael comes home, like, to his house, and it's, like, empty, and you got all the snow and stuff, like, really atmospheric, but
yeah, definitely. Yeah, those scenes were brilliant, and yeah, I guess it shows how conniving Michael really is, how very cruel he really is to think, my brother doesn't deserve to live anymore. I mean, obviously it's not good to do it to anyone, but to your own brother, I mean, bloody hell, that's low. That's really, really low. But that's how mad he is with power. He's gone out of control.
And this scene's great where he's brought Frank Pentangeli's brother over from Sicily, and he's basically saying to him, if you say anything against me, your brother's going to die, or he's going to be very hurt. And Frank Pentangeli realizes this and decides not to testify against Michael. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A witness who will further testify to Michael Corleone's rule over a criminal empire that controls all of the gambling in this country, and perhaps in other countries. This witness has had no bucks between himself and Michael Corleone. He can corroborate our charges on enough counts for this committee to recommend a charge of perjury against Michael Corleone.
Oh, God.
Mr. Pentangeli. Were you a member of the Corleone family? You served in the Capo regime, in Florence, under Vito Corleone.
Very, very good scene here. Like,
I never been like that.
He's lying, isn't
I
he?
have my own family.
Yeah. He
Blimey.
was gonna testify. He was gonna testify against Michael, but then Michael showed up with his brother from Sicily, and Michael's saying, you testify against me, your brother's gonna die. So he's saying, oh, I never heard of the Godfather. I never heard of Michael Corleone being a Godfather. Well,
Well, I mean, I'm sure he wants nothing more than to bring Michael down, but yeah, he'd rather keep his life.
Yeah.
You have it. Your sworn affidavit that you murdered on the orders of Michael Corleone. Do you deny this confession? And do you realize what will happen as a result of your denial?
Look, the FBI got me, promise me. So I made up a lot of stuff about Michael Corleone because that's what they wanted. But it was all lies.
It was all lies. Well,
I'm not a liar. I'm not a manipulator. Those things are false.
oh dear. I'm a liar. I'm a manipulator. Those things are true.
Yeah.
Oh. Oh.
This is
Yeah,
quite
they're-
long,
they're-
this
they're
trial
wondering.
scene.
Sorry.
This trial scene is quite long. I must admit, it is going on a bit, but yeah.
I think it's interesting. I mean, yeah. I mean, he's saying he knows nothing.
This committee is now adjourned. The witness is excused.
No, I think they're finding it fishy that your guy Frank Pentanzoli's brother's there. They're like wondering like, oh, why is he? He's saying he's going to testify against Michael, and all of a sudden he's not.
Well, he's not my guy, but okay. He doesn't belong to me.
Oh, smart arse.
Hotel Washington.
Washington D.C.
Oh God, yes. This is the big sort of blow up between him and his wife, isn't it?
It's quite funny your alternate ending. You kind of diffuse the tension in this scene, like. Well,
To be fair, though, it is there have been several scenes like this in a soap opera where people argued about kids and abortions and all that, but yeah, I did diffuse the tension in this.
it was funny though. It was funny.
It is.
Yeah.
And obviously the ending as well, which is the most powerful scene I've ruined with the fucking EastEnders stuff.
Yeah, it's like Fredo dies and he's sitting in the chair. Well,
I think
Uh.
like changes. I promised myself I wasn't going to say anything.
I'm okay saying to him, like, you need to change as a person.
Yeah, she's standing up to him, which is more than anyone else has done.
Yeah.
Where is he now?
He's on a plane.
Fredo is on a plane, is he?
No. This is Frank Pentanzoli's brother. The guy who appeared in
right.
court. Of course, she had something to do with it. Liar.
Oh, there are his kids. Little Mary.
It's quite realistic as well, like the way it cuts to the kids. Like, I mean, she's too young to care about this, but Anthony's old enough to understand what's going on. He's listening outside. Yeah.
He doesn't need the upheaval in his life.
I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to hear about it.
Just great acting between the both of them.
It's very dramatic, and he's such a control freak. He really is.
Yeah.
He's not beaten her, is he? He's not like physically assaulted her or anything, is he?
No, he's not that. He's not that bad. I mean, I think he still loves his wife, but she doesn't have any love for him anymore because he's killing all these people, and you know he's still the head of the mafia. And he said he was going to change, but he hasn't really changed. You know.
Yeah, and he's so corrupted.
Yeah.
Michael, you haven't heard me.
Okay. What do you want from me? If you expect me to let you go, do you expect me to let you take my children from me?
Our children.
Don't you know that it's an impossibility?
Yeah.
It's never happened. That I'd use all my power to keep something like that from happening.
This is great.
Don't you know?
Great bit of acting.
And
Between the
you
both
know
of
what?
them.
You know what, Michael? Sometimes the truth hurts. She had an abortion. Yeah.
In time,
You finally heard it from the horse's mouth.
you'll feel different.
Yeah.
You'll be glad I stopped you.
Yeah, she probably shouldn't have said that to him. I understand why. I mean, he shouldn't have done it, but I understand why he slapped her because she was saying, "Oh, you know, it was an abortion," you know, and all that, and she was sort of rubbing it in his face a bit, and he was just like, "Yeah, fuck you." Oh,
Yeah. I'll make it up to you. It's all lies, you know. He's just trying to keep her around.
yeah. You know, he said he's changed years ago, but he still hasn't done it.
And you'll forget about this miscarriage. You'll have another
Oh
child.
God.
And we'll go on. You and I. Go on.
Oh, Michael. Michael, you are brave.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
It was an abortion.
Oh,
An abortion, Michael.
Ooh.
It's like our marriage
His
is an
face.
abortion. Something that's unholy and evil. I didn't want your son, Michael. I wouldn't bring another one of your sons into this world.
Jesus.
It was a son, and I had it killed because this must all end.
Yeah.
I know now that it's
I love the look of fury on Al Pacino's face as Michael. Like
no way you could ever
his lip is literally quivering with anger. You know. Like
going
yeah.
on for
Yeah, yeah, no wonder he just raged out there, and it's a
Yeah. Yeah.
You won't take my helmet!
Yeah. That's
Wow.
one of my favorites of the film. Yeah.
that was really quite intense, actually, and that was quite upsetting, really, for her to have to say all that and to say I had an abortion.
Yeah.
I didn't want to bring your child into this world because of all this, and he still doesn't get it, you know. And that's the sad thing. He still doesn't get, you know, the way he is. He doesn't understand that he needs to change. He's just saying all this stuff just to keep her around and to keep his kids around, but yeah, now he's lost his kids. Yeah. There's nothing left for him, really.
Yeah. Now he's with now we're with Don Vito again, and I like all this stuff here. Oh, this is one of the best soundtracks of film. I just love it. Yeah.
It's so emotive. It just speaks every single emotion, and it's nice that I think they finally found their proper home, haven't they?
Yeah. They have, yeah. And this is the place in the first film where Michael goes to, and then his wife, his Italian wife, Apollonia, or his Sicilian wife, she gets blown up in the car. But yeah,
Yeah, that's true. Oh, I like, yeah, we see little Michael, little Sonny, and
yeah.
I don't know if Fredo's there. I think he probably is somewhere.
Actually, I think Michael's the baby, and Michael's the baby there, and you see Fredo there, and Sonny, the one of the curls, you know.
Yes. So then, that obviously, Connie is the youngest then.
Yeah, that's Michael. Yeah. Connie's the baby. That's Michael there. That I think that Don Vito's carrying. Yeah, that's Michael, and Connie's the baby, and the ones that are the kids that are walking, like the one with the cap on, and that's Fredo, and the one with the curls, that's Sonny. Yeah.
Mm. So they've had, so now they've had all their kids now, haven't they?
Yeah, the 4 kids. Yeah. I mean,
Mm.
Catholics are known to have big families. And Italians, yeah. As well.
2 hours 46 minutes, and it's not lost its pace yet. It's gone so quickly. I'm amazed how quickly this film moves.
Yeah. It's just a treat to watch, like, you know.
Probably one of the
have films like this. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't make them like this anymore. I mean, yeah, it's kind of a, you know, the Godfather trilogy are films that I think are irrepeatable. I mean, even if you try to remake them, you could never do as good a job. You know, I think I mean, as an experience making them, I'm sure it was also irrepeatable. You know, little did they know they were making a masterpiece, and yeah, it's one of the best film trilogies ever made.
Yeah, I mean, especially when they were making the first one, they didn't know they were making a masterpiece. I mean, I think Al Pacino and Diane Keaton thought the film was going to be shit because Francis Ford Coppola wasn't really a big name director, and there's so many production problems. But turned out to be a masterpiece, which is great. But yeah,
yeah, exactly. I mean, even though the third is considered the weakest, the people mostly it still gets a good response. I think people still like it, but some people just saying, "Oh, it's good," but it's not as good as the first two, which means they think it's meh. I guess because these two are so good. But I still think the third is actually almost in the same league. You know, it's very good.
I think it's like Return of the Jedi. You know, a lot of people say, "Oh, the first 2 Star Wars films are great, and Return of the Jedi is like the weakest or a bit of a letdown." It's kind of the same with Godfather 3. Like people are like, "Oh, the first 2 are the best, and the third one's a bit of a letdown or good, but not as good." But yeah, I mean, I really love this film and the whole trilogy, and I'm kind of glad they stopped at 3 because they were planning to do a 4th film, Mario Puzo and Francis Ford Coppola, and I mean, unfortunately, that never happened because Mario Puzo passed away. But I'm kind of glad in some ways it didn't happen because I think the 3rd film sort of ended it perfectly. But yeah,
Yeah, and I think the third had a sort of natural ending. There was no need to continue the story. There wasn't enough story to really continue. So they'd done everything they'd set out to do. The ground had sort of been firmly covered, I think. And yeah, you know, having it as a trilogy is still good.
Oh shit! Yeah, this is the Don who killed his mother and his whole family at the start of the film. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think now we're seeing a little bit more of a ruthless side to Vito, but yeah, he's still very much a caring man. He still cares about his family, which is more that can be said for Michael. I think, yeah. Even though Michael loves his family, he doesn't seem interested in the way he's treated them.
Yeah, well, I mean, revenge, vendetta, it's an Italian word, vendetta, and I kind of sympathize for him. I mean, his whole family was killed by this bastard Don, his father and his brother and his mother. So he thought, you know what, fuck you, I'm gonna get revenge. But, yeah. Yeah. I loved how they returned to these locations in the third one as well, which was nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I've not seen the third for ages, so it'll be interesting to rewatch it. But we're almost at the end, actually. That's something.
Oh, Michael, say goodbye. Oh, that's nice. Yeah. Yeah, actually, 30th anniversary of the third one this year.
Oh, wow. It'd be nice for them to re-release these films in the cinema. I'd go and watch them, I really would. I think they deserve to be seen on the big screen.
Yeah. I'm hoping, because it'll be the 50th anniversary in a couple of years of the first one, I'm hoping they might re-release the trilogy in the cinema, but at the same time, I don't know if they will. I mean, they did with Star Wars. They released, I think, when the special editions were coming out, they re-released them in cinema, the original trilogy, and it'd be great if they did the same with these films. But yeah,
they should at least re-release the first one. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. But this is sad.
Yeah, it is sad. Yeah. When his mother's died. Yeah. Now he knows he's fucked.
Yeah, well, he's got his sister. He's got Connie, but she's not exactly all with it herself, is she? She's kind of, her life fell apart, didn't it? So,
yeah. Michael sort of made it fall apart when he killed her husband, but yeah. One thing I will say, thank God these films are directed by George Lucas, because he probably released a special edition where Michael becomes a fucking robot or something, or like Aladdin Jabba the Hutt or something like that.
Yeah.
But
well, next thing you know, he'll sing Jedi Rocks or something.
Oh God, yeah. Could you imagine that? Fredo dies like Jedi Rocks.
Oh, I love that wide shot of him sitting on the chair in the distance, and see, like him sitting in the chair is like the main poster for the film. It's become so iconic, and yeah, this scene is really powerful. I like this scene when when his sister says to him, "Look, can you just forgive Fredo? Look, Mum's died, and we all need to stick together now. And he needs you, Michael. He's lost. He's helpless." And yeah, it's a very powerful scene. Like when he hugs him, but we know deep down that Michael isn't gonna forgive him, and he's gonna have him killed, which is awful.
Yeah.
I actually thought this scene had come earlier in the film for some reason. I remembered it being much earlier, but maybe it's the pacing. That's how good it is. It's been on for almost 3 hours, and we're getting to this scene. But I guess it's kind of the beginning of the end for Fredo, which is a real shame.
Yeah. It's interesting. His kids are sitting there in the chair, like near him. They're like sitting in the chair together, like Mary and Anthony. But I really like this scene where she's sort of pleading to Michael, like, don't kill Fredo, please, she says, oh, he's so sweet and helpless without you, and you're just thinking to yourself, what a bastard. Your sister's like, pleading,
yeah,
for you not, to do this,
And in a way, the kids being there is meant to represent Fredo, because they're both kind of innocent. Fredo is just under this innocent guy, he doesn't mean any harm. He just made a mistake, and the kids are like, it's like the innocence, and I think that was a nice symbolic thing to do, and like the way he just looks at his kids and then realizes, okay, yeah, Fredo he didn't intend to screw me over, but it happened. Yeah, but obviously deep down, he doesn't really care by this point if he hurts him.
Yeah.
this is where the
Which is
knife
just-
really is twisted in, isn't it? It's like we really just see that Michael is kind of, he's gone. Like the Michael we knew from the first one, he's not there anymore. It's like another person has taken over his body.
Yeah, it's like the lights are on, but nobody's home. Like, you know, it's
Yeah.
just this empty, like this empty shell. But yeah, yeah, I love the music here, and this scene's really powerful because, you know, he hugs his brother, you know, but he doesn't really forgive him. He's just doing this for Connie. He doesn't really forgive him when he's hugging him, and that's what makes it even more powerful. But yeah,
Yeah. And I think this is probably the most emotional scene of the film,
yeah,
as well as Fredo's death. I mean, this speaks volumes about, you know, Michael's character, the way he looks at him, and Fredo obviously can't really tell what Michael's thinking, but he just thinks, "Oh, okay, he's forgiven me because of the hug." But
yeah,
yeah, it's fake.
yeah.
Mm.
And the way he looks at, you know, the guy, you know, I mean that's the thing. Hugs are deceiving. You know, he looks at him like, you know, he has to go, and your guy sort of realizes that. You know, yeah,
Yeah, the guy, yeah, whoever that guy is, Michael, one of Michael's proteges, he's like, yeah, we're getting rid of Fredo. I mean, that's, he doesn't have to say anything to really indicate that, but oh god,
he just gives him that look when he hugs him. Yeah, it's very powerful. Yeah, um, it's very sad as well because you think, you know, you think he would forgive him, but you know, but because he's descended so far into this sort of darkness, you know, it's just like he just won't give anybody a second chance, you know.
no.
And this is where he's
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
calm.
some of the naysayers of this film may complain, like, I mean, I don't think many people complain about this film, but the very couple of people that probably don't like it will say, "Oh, well, Michael's so unlikable. You know, he kills his own brother. How are we supposed to care about the main character?" Well, see, that's where you're missing the point. You're not really meant to care about him. Well, you're meant to sympathize in a way and see how he's fallen. But you know, the point of was not that that Michael was likable. He wasn't likable. He was in the first one up to a point, and you know, if you've seen the first one, you know where he is by this point, and it's like you say, it's a steady decline. He just goes further and further into this dark pit, and you know, the people that would make that criticism, I think it's unjust, and I think they need to really watch this film again and reassess it personally. But I don't think many people complain about it. It tends to get very good. It seems to have very good reviews. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think I did see one girl review this film like a few years ago, and she gave it like a 5 out of 10, and she said, "Oh, you know, the film's just about you know, a depressing man, you know, and it's just, you know, it's just depressing. You know, he falls into this, you know, pit of despair and he kills everybody." I'm like, well, you really sort of missed the point of this film. You know, if you're just like, oh, it's
Yeah.
just what a depressing man. You know, well, it's not. It's a lot more than that. I mean, she liked the first one. She just thought the second one was okay, like 5 out of 10. I mean, it just, yeah, I was just kind of shocked by that. But yeah, I mean, I think her criticism was completely invalid. But
Yeah. I
like,
mean,
yeah.
I've actually just complained about it being too long as well. She probably thought it was way too long at 3.5 hours.
Yeah. I mean, personally, for me, even though this is longer than the first one, I think it's better. I mean, I think the story's better. I think the direction is better. I mean, the direction for the first one was amazing, but direction for this one is even better. And you know, you know, I just love it. It's just such a great film, and the way it's shot, and the acting, and the locations, and just everything about it is just amazing. And you know, what I really admire about the second one as well was that, you know, the first one was all based on a book, the Godfather book, but the second film, you know, apart from the scenes that are set in the past, all the scenes of Michael, they actually made it up for this film. They, you know, wrote the story
Yeah.
for this film, which is amazing. But yeah,
Wow, I never knew that. That's fantastic. And yeah, the script is excellent. It's very strong, and I agree. I think the pacing is excellent for such a long film. It moves very, very briskly. It moves at just the right pace, and I think that was important. You know, if you're going to cut a film at 3 hours 20 minutes, then it's got to be justified at that runtime, and there is more than enough that goes on in this story to justify the runtime. And we have 20 minutes left, and it's I mean, I think if it was any longer, then that would be stretching the mark. But no, I think it works, and it's. I mean, the first film was quick as well, but I think this is just the right length, and it's a great continuation after the first one. It is also it adds to the first one. It adds to the kind of the backstory of Don Vito and stuff, and I really like that, and the way it parallels with Michael's story. And I also like this film just for Fredo, the journey of Fredo and the demise of Fredo. That's the kind of the beating heart of the film, and that's what kind of snaps Michael out of his delusions of grandeur, so to speak. And it takes him killing his brother to realize, what the hell have I done? Shit, this is like, what the hell? You know, I can't believe I just did that. And that's why I think the third one is necessary, because you needed to show his redemption arc. If the series had ended with the second, okay, fine, it would have still been a great film. But I still think that emotionally there wouldn't have been a payoff to Michael's character. I think that to have the third is really Michael's chance, one last chance of redemption. And yeah, he does, I guess, get a shot of redemption, but at a cost. And obviously that cost is losing his daughter. But we'll get to that next time. But yeah, I mean, that's my stance. And I think it's a very clever film in that regard. The second one, it's very clever for all the story elements that it does. I mean, that girl who reviewed it a 5 out of 10 or whatever, you know, she probably just thought, oh, it's just people standing around talking for 3.5 hours. But there's so much more. If you actually listen to what they're talking about and you get wrapped up in the drama, then, you know, it's invigorating. And I love the drama of this film. I love any drama, and it's a superb. It really is a landmark in cinema. I wish I could have been alive during the 1970s to see it, but I'm glad I've seen it now.
Yeah, no, I love to see these films in the cinema. All three of them. I think my dad saw the third one in the cinema, but yeah, because it was 1990. But no, I mean, I think talking about the film, there's a great scene there with Tom Hagen where he's saying to Michael, "Oh, you know, you've won, Michael. You don't need to take everybody out." And he's like, "I don't," and he's like, says to him, "Oh, I don't feel like I need to take everybody out, Tom. Just my enemies. That's all." You know, and then later on, you know, there's that really nice scene with Fredo and Michael's son Anthony, and he's like trying to teach him how to catch fish, and it's kind of sad, you know, that his uncle gets killed because he's sort of bonding with him there. But I mean, this scene's good here with Frank Pentangeli, where he's saying to him, like, you know, thanks for, you know, doing us a service, thanks for, you know, not testifying against Michael and all this. And you know, he's sort of stuck in this prison now, but yeah.
Yeah, that is nice, and I agree about the bonding scene as well, and I guess it also is there to show that's how that should really be Michael teaching him to fish, but clearly not. I guess he does put more attention to his kids after the death of Fredo. He does, like I say, kind of snaps out of his delusions of grandeur and probably tries to forget about everything that happened and that he was the Godfather. And you know, it was really interesting to see how the end of this film sort of changes him and really does help him. You know, if it weren't for Fredo, maybe Michael never would have stopped being the Godfather until he died. I mean, who knows? But yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think what's interesting about this film is that, you know, I think he realizes by the end of it what he's done, because I mean, all the other guys he killed, he doesn't give a shit about them because they're just gangsters. They're just, you know, scum. You know, yeah, like him. You know, there's scum like him. They're gangsters, and I think it's really after he realizes, oh shit, I killed my own brother. I've gone too far. This is sort of madness. Like I killed my own brother. I've gone a step too far, and I think that's sort of what snaps him out of. I think that's what sort of snaps him out of what he's done in the third one, because he's realized he's killed his own brother and he's gone too far with his evil ways, and he's trying to rectify that in the third one, and of course that doesn't pay off in the end because he's already done the deeds, he's already done the evil things that he's done. But
Yeah, and that's interesting because I think everyone who tries to be the Godfather that always ends up in death and destruction. I mean, even Don Vito, he would never go as far as Michael. Obviously, he would never kill his own family, but he certainly killed people, and he certainly, obviously, his demise wasn't pretty. But yeah, even Sonny, there was always death. There's always death surrounding the kind of the mantle of being the Godfather, and that's why it's in a way it's kind of a curse really to kind of take it on, because it's just going to end in tears, in misery, and it nearly breaks Michael, and it nearly it changes him so much. But this is sad. Like Kay is leaving without the kids.
Saying goodbye to their own children, and it's kind of sad. He's like, oh, Anthony, kiss goodbye to your mother, and he's there, and he's just like, you know what, I'm just gonna close the door on you, fuck you, kind of thing.
We're done with our relationship.
Yeah.
I guess he kicks her out because she lied to him about the abortion. So, but I guess she's also really concerned about the kids because of him. She thinks she's so worried that the kids will probably get hurt. But thankfully, he will snap out of this very soon, and he probably will become much more of an attentive father. I mean, I think in the third film, he has quite a good relationship with his kids. I mean, all things considered.
Yeah. I mean, I found that scene quite powerful where they close the door on her. Like they did the same in the first one where the mob and all that close the door on her. It's like Michael's closing the door in his life. It's like he shuts the door and he doesn't need to see her anymore, and he's sort of cutting her out of his life by literally closing the door on her. In the first one at the end of that, and this where he's like saying, yeah, goodbye. You're not seeing my kids anymore. I'm not seeing you anymore. You're done, sort of thing. But
yeah. But then, of course, in the third, I think he probably reaches out to her, and I'm sure they come to an agreement, and I'm sure she is allowed access to the kids, and rightly so, I think.
Yeah. This scene here, very, very powerful. He's gonna go.
Oh, that's a shame. To be fair, it's good that he's not on there because Michael wouldn't want his son to see his uncle being killed. So, yeah.
I think maybe if Anthony had stayed on there, he would have saved Fredo's life, because that guy wouldn't have killed, Fredo in front of his, nephew.
Yeah.
In front of Michael's son, he wouldn't have done that, but yeah.
Because
of course they don't know.
Anthony could have got hurt as well, so yeah, that risk.
The music here is very good. One of my favorite track of the film. This one, one of the best tracks. But yeah, that shot is great where you see him in the.
Or is that what's his face from earlier who was dying?
Hyman Roth. Yeah.
Hyman Roth. Thank you. Yes. I thought he was going to die.
Oh no, he's terminal. He even says that he's got terminal cancer. She's going to die in a few months or whatever. But yeah. He's very, very dramatic.
Wow. film is such a masterpiece.
Yeah. I love the shot of the leaves there, like, and then it shows you, like, you know, the shot of the house, you know. Yeah.
And the music is great because it's amping up the tension, and you kind of know what's going to happen. You know that Fredo's going to die, but it's the fact that they actually cut away from it and they show it from Michael's point of view, and you just hear the sound, I think is more powerful.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah.
Hyman Roth is now dead.
I agree, this film is a masterpiece.
No
question.
Yeah. A lot of death at the very end as well, you know.
Yeah. It's kind of like, you know, it's kind of symbolic. He's like doing the Hail Mary because he says that's the only way he can catch a fish. But at the same time, it's like, it's almost kind of like predicting his death, that he's going to die, and he's saying Hail Mary, you know. Like,
you're saying catch a fish, I think in the symbolic sense. Oh, fuck. The way he just lowers his head down as well is powerful. But I think, like you say about, you know, teaching him how to catch a fish, I guess it's kind of implying as well, like Michael's caught the fish or caught the rat or whatever, his brother. But the way he just kind of, he goes there and sits down and puts his head back, I think it's like, I think he kind of immediately regrets it.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. And I think, yeah, the sort of Hail Mary thing, like he said to Anthony, Fredo said, you know, oh, I used to, you know, I used to say Hail Mary, that's the only way I catch a fish, but it's kind of symbolic, like at the end, you know, he's about to be shot. It's like he's saying a Hail Mary because he knows he's about to be killed. But yeah, but I mean, this scene is great. I love it because this is like when the family was happy, when everybody was alive and everything was happy, and you know, like when everything was good, and then, you know, sort of cuts back to him afterwards in the chair, and that sort of ends the film. But yeah.
I mean, was this directly taken from the first film, or is it a new flashback scene that they filmed?
Oh no, it's new footage. I think they wanted Marlon Brando back for this, but they couldn't get him because he was doing something else. But I kind of like the fact you don't see him. Like, they're like building up to the fact that he's coming home, and they're having like a birthday celebration, sort of, well, celebration for him coming home or whatever. But yeah, it's his birthday. It's Don Vito's birthday. But yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I love the way Pacino sort of, like, I mean, he's playing Michael here like he was in the first film, even though this is like new footage. He does a really good job of differentiating between the Michael of part 2 and the Michael of part 1 here in this brief flashback scene. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it is almost like two different characters, really, by this point.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. One's, you know, sort of, I mean, you know, he's a good guy, and then, you know, second one he's just a monster. But yeah.
Yeah, and then there's Sonny as well.
When you think about it, half of his siblings are dead. Sonny's dead and Fredo's dead. 2 out of 4 of them are gone.
Yeah, he's only got his sister now, Connie.
Yeah.
Do you think does Connie sort of turn away from him a bit in the third?
No, she actually gravitates more towards him. She realizes she actually becomes more involved in the mafia and becomes a bit more corrupt in the third one. But yeah.
Oh yeah.
And this stuff's good with Sonny, where he's like, oh, you know, you joined the Marines, you know, you're betraying, you know, the mafia, you know, you're betraying us and all this. He's like, oh, this country is in your blood. You remember that, you know, because they're originally from Sicily, and he's like, well, I don't feel like that, you know, I feel American more than Italian, but yeah.
Yeah, Sonny is a bit of a thug, isn't he?
Yeah, bit of a hothead, yeah.
many times in that company.
And poor old Tom Hagen as well. He's kind of been involved in the family a long time as well. So I guess he's quite sad about what happens, isn't he,
Yeah.
with Fredo?
Yeah. I mean, the Dawn sort of got away with it in the first film because, I mean, even though he was shot, he did survive and he died peacefully. Like, I think he was running after his grandson. He had a heart attack and, you know, he sort of died quite quickly. But Michael died a very slow and sad death. But, yeah.
Mm.
I love this, though, the way they, like, you know, he's, like, left there on his own while they're all going to surprise him as he comes through the door. But, yeah. Kind of paralleling how he is now, but, yeah.
Yeah. I suppose this is a flashback. It's making him think about his family and, you know, how much he's lost. And well, it cuts also with some of the footage with Robert De Niro as well.
Yeah, and his him as a kid waving goodbye to Sicily, but yeah. I mean, this scene is like so powerful. I remember watching this for the first time and seeing that end scene where it zooms to him in the chair, and I was like, "Oh bloody hell, this is amazing!" Yeah,
I mean, the look in his eyes, like it's like he's about to break down. He's like, "Oh my god!" Like he just can't believe what he's done. You know.
yeah, he's really pondering what he's done. Yeah.
Well, I think that deserves a massive round of applause.
Yeah.
Wow. That ending is really quite powerful, I must say. It does get to you. It does sort of pull on the heartstrings.
Yeah, that's it. Gordon Willis did the photography and Dean Tavoularis did the stats and everything. But yeah.
Yeah, kudos to them. I mean, I suppose I'll let you go first and summarize because this is not one of your favorite movies of all times.
Yeah, well, I mean, what can I really say about this film that hasn't already been said? I mean, it's an absolute masterpiece. I mean, first time I saw the first Godfather, I was impressed, but you know, I wasn't blown away. But the second film just blew me away, and I was just like, holy shit! I didn't know films could be this good. I didn't know filmmaking could be that, you know, masterful. You know, I mean, the film really is a work of art. I mean, you know, from start to finish, it just engages you completely. It's the fastest, nearly 3.5 hour film that you know, that I've seen, and I just think, you know, that the characters here are so great. Al Pacino as Michael Corleone. You know, he's amazing in the film. I love all the sort of the stuff set in the past with Robert De Niro as Don Vito, and he's great in it as well. And I love the two parallel storylines, and I just think the drama is great in this one. You know, just really, it just ups the stakes. And yeah, I mean, the drama of Michael sort of descending into this sort of darkness, like this dark pit, and, you know, killing his own brother, and sort of storyline of Hyman Roth and all that. There's a lot of twists and turns, and the story's very complex, but, you know, very engaging. And, you know, by the end, it all makes sense. And you got, I mean, great cinematography, great sets and costumes, just great performances as well. Like, not just Al Pacino, but John Cazale as Fredo, Talia Shire as Bonnie, and Robert De Niro as Don Vito and all that. And yeah, I mean, all the performances here are top notch. It's just a fantastic film. It really is. I mean, and the soundtrack as well by Nino Rota and Carmine Coppola. I mean, it's just, you know, amazing soundtrack. One of my favorite soundtracks of all time. I've got some of the soundtrack on my phone, and it's just, yeah, I mean, the film's just a masterpiece. And, you know, the sets are amazing, and so many great scenes, like the scene where Fredo hugs Michael, and and he gets shot at the end, and all the stuff before that. I mean, there's one scene I forgot to mention as well. I really like where Michael's talking to his mother at the fireplace. Saying, "Oh, could you lose your family? If you did something bad." And she says, like, "Oh no, you can never lose your family." But in the end, he does, and I love all the stuff with Kay as well. Diane Keaton as Kay. She's great in the film, and it's just it's just such a masterpiece, and I love all the scenes, like it was an abortion and all that stuff, and the drama. I mean, that's what I love about the drama here is really amazing. It's palpable, and yeah, it's a masterpiece. It's a work of art, and it's definitely one of my it's one of my favorite films of all time. I think it's just one place below Raging Bull. I think for a long time this was my favorite film of all time, but I think Raging Bull slightly overtakes that. But they're pretty much joint first place nearly for me as my favorite film of all time. It's just an incredible film. I just absolutely adore it. I think it's easily the best of the trilogy as well. Yeah, I mean, it's just from start to finish, it's a complete work of art. It's a masterpiece, and if I could, I'd give it 50 out of 10, a million out of 10. But yeah, yeah, I mean, it's a very, very, very high, the highest of high 10 out of 10. Just masterpiece. But
Not good enough.
I mean,
got to give it a higher rating. It's okay.
minus a million. Lol. No, yeah, 10 out of 10 for sure. It's a masterpiece. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't really add much more to that. Obviously, you were the one that introduced me to these movies, and I have to thank you for that because, yeah, wow, The Godfather Part 2 is a masterpiece. I mean, the first one is as well, and the third is also really good, and it's a great trilogy. But the second one is really in its own league. It's something special. It's one of the longest films ever made. It's 3.5 hours long, nearly, but it flies by. The pace is so consistent, and there's so much drama. Like, I love the stuff with Michael and Fredo, and interesting to see Michael's character be explored further here as he descends into darkness, and then at the end he goes too far and he kills his brother, and then he has to live with that guilt. And the last shot really is the start of Michael's redemption arc. He realizes that he has gone too far, and he needs to snap out of this, otherwise he's gonna just end up hurting everyone, and which I think is powerful. I love the stuff with Kay as well, and the emotional drama there with her abortion. That's really good. I love the past storyline with Robert De Niro as Vito. I thought that was really done, and the editing was seamless. The two storylines flowed together perfectly. They both paralleled each other very nicely. It's one of the most visually stunning movies ever made. I love the sepia sort of Venezia look of the film. The lighting is superb. The camera work is superb. The direction by Francis Ford Coppola is godlike. It's so good. Again, for such a long film, it never felt too long. I mean, if it was any longer, then I think it would have been stretching the mark. But I think it's just the right length. It deserves to be 3 hours, 20 minutes long. And wow, it just blows you away. There's so much drama. There's so much tension. All the other characters like Frank and Hyman Roth and all of those other characters. And it's also the end of Fredo, which is very sad. And seeing Fredo's death was very powerful, like the way that they cut away from the shot, and then we see Michael drop his face afterwards, and the hug scene is also very powerful. I like that as well. There's so many powerful moments in this film, and it is without question the best of the trilogy, no question whatsoever. And the music score is masterful as well. Did the score win an Oscar?
I think it did. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think it did.
Do you know what the 6 awards were? Do you know what they won? Obviously, Best Picture, and Robert De Niro won the Oscar for supporting actor, and then the score. Do you know what the other ones were?
There's Best Picture, Best Director, Best Supporting Actor, Best Soundtrack. So that's 4. Best Screenplay, I think it might have been as well. Yeah, maybe Best Cinematography too. But yeah, I'll have to check. But yeah, I know
Well,
it won Best Picture. Yeah,
that's fine. That's fine. But thank you for that. Yeah, and the acting is superb as well. Like Al Pacino, I do believe was robbed of the Oscar. He really should have won. I mean, this film deserved to win. Heck, it deserved to sweep the Academy Awards, much like Titanic swept the awards in '98, and then in 2004, Return of the King swept it and got 11 Oscars. I think this film is on the same level as those. It really, obviously, Titanic is not a film I love as much as Return of the King or this, but still, I still think this film is in the same league in that it deserved to win more awards, multiple awards, but I mean, nevertheless, I'm happy it won 6 Oscars, and that's still a very, very high achievement. And yeah, I agree. It's a 10 out of 10. Absolutely phenomenal film.
Yeah, and I do think, like you said, awards don't really define a film. I mean, it could have won 0 Oscars, and it's still an amazing achievement in film. But I mean, if it won 0 Oscars, that would have been just insane. But I'm glad it won 6 Oscars. But yeah, I mean, it probably should have won 11 Oscars. I mean, it's definitely a way better film than Titanic, and I think all the critics and everybody else agrees it's way better than Titanic. But
yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I did really like Titanic. I gave it a 9 out of 10. I really enjoy it, but it's not as good as this movie or Return of the King. And I think, it was they were very lucky to win 11 Oscars. I mean, good on them. But I personally, I don't think it deserved that many. But good on them for winning it.
No, I mean, Titanic's a good film, but it's very overrated. I mean, I think part of the reason why it won all those Oscars was because it was like at that time the highest grossing film of all time. So they were like, "Oh, we'll give it all the Oscars." But yeah, I think time has shown that Titanic hasn't held up as one of the best picture winners. It doesn't hold up as many other best picture winners in the Oscars. But I mean, speaking of Godfather 2, I mean, Al Pacino should have won an Oscar for this film because I mean he's out of this world performance, one of the best performances just in cinema in general. I mean he's just amazing in this. But and it's interesting as well that it took them about 16 years to do the third one because I mean, and I'm glad they did it because I think the second one really sort of leaves you hanging with these sort of loose threads, like, what's going to happen to him? What's going to happen to his family? So I'm glad they did the third one, even though some people think the third one was not good, but they think it's good, but it's not as good as the first 2. But I'm glad they did the third one, even though it's not as good as this or the first one. I'm still glad we had the third one to end the trilogy, and I love the whole trilogy. It's my favorite trilogy of all time, and yeah, and this film is one of the greatest films ever made. So, yeah.
Yes, and I'm very proud to agree with you on that. Absolutely, and I mean, I think that pretty much wraps it up. I mean, is there anything else you want to say before we finish up this very long commentary?
Michael, suck my cock.
Well, yeah. So, thanks everyone for watching and listening during this 3.5 hour audio fan commentary. But it's flown by, and it certainly would be worth it. And I apologize for the parts in the middle where I had to sort of talk on my own, or if there was a bit of dead silence. But I tried my best to talk while I was waiting for Jack to come back. But we got through it.
I mean, I was going to say apologies for that. My iPad literally, I mean, it's my own fault. It was on like 1% battery, and I mean, I was charging it, but it just died. So, I mean, that's the reason why I dropped out of the stream. But I mean, I wasn't gone for too long. Yeah, it was only one interruption. Like, I wasn't gone for that long. So, I mean, it was still fun doing this commentary.
Yeah, no,
lot
it
of
was
fun
it's
doing
fine.
it.
Honestly, don't
Yeah.
worry about it. It happens, but at least you came back and you weren't gone for a huge amount of time. So we still had at least an hour or so left to go by that point. So yeah, I guess the only thing left to say is, bravo Francis Ford Coppola and bravo Paramount Pictures for this amazing movie, and all the actors and everyone involved. They probably didn't know it at the time, but they were making a masterpiece, and it truly should be seen by everyone. Anyone who has an interest in film should see these movies, particularly the second one. They are some of the greatest films ever made. I would even say the third is in a very good league. So, but speaking of which,
Yeah.
next time we will be looking at The Godfather Part 3, which is the third and final film of this trilogy.
No, I think you mean the Godfather Part 3.
Oh, God, let's not go there. Yeah. Yeah, so stay tuned for that. And thank you very much for watching and listening. And yeah, I am Mr. Talos 11. This is Jack the Film Fanatic. See you next time. Bye. Okay.